glad you're sitting up, Dan, because they can see us now. Hopefully they can hear us. So,
oh my gosh.
Hello. If you're in chat and you can't hear us or see us, just let us know and we'll fix it. That wonderful intro was developed by Matt, who's sitting in channel somewhere, Free League Publishing. So, but hi, hello. My name's Jeff. I run a little group called Adventures Lollygagging. Some of the people from that group are in this game. Others, we just have friends from different places. We'll do all our plugs here in a minute, but we're playing Vaesen tonight by Free League Publishing, and we're going to be playing it every other Monday for the foreseeable future, and we're starting a brand new mystery. This is a game that we've been playing for a little while, so like we've been playing, I guess, for about a month and a half or so, but we're starting brand new, so if you've never watched us on our own channel before, no big deal, because you don't need to know anything. We're just going to start a brand new mystery and get right into it. I'm going to give everyone a chance here for a second to go ahead and introduce themselves, plug something if you got something to plug, which many people here do, and then tell us a little bit about the character you're playing. So like, who are you? What do you do? Something interesting about yourself, etc. So we're just going to go how it's laid out, and we'll start with Dan.
Oh no. Yes, that's terrible. It's me, Dan. I'm with the Defenders of Kobold. I take up space and I breathe. I'm playing Dogmore, who's the double vagabond, who's an ancient man and has nothing but lots of dogs and a pair of binoculars and an unpleasant past. And I got a plug. Dan dies in the end.
There you go.
We're still waiting for our print on demand to come out yet here, but you can still buy this on ttrpg, 50 cents, super reasonably priced. We got some quality materials in here from a lot of different people, so including some here.
And you introduced yourself as Dogmore, right? So you got Dogmore. What did you say about yourself?
Double Vagabond.
Double Vagabond. And then we what were we playing the other day where you got Vagabond again?
Supers.
Yeah, we were playing Supers or Spectaculars. Yeah, and you got
Vagabond. Spectaculars, yeah, sorry.
So Dan is destined to just be a Vagabond. How old
Forever.
is Dogmore? We also have to...
89.
89-year-old man.
What the dice told me.
Yeah. Our first mystery, he nearly got gored to death by a boar, and somehow he's lived to tell the tale.
Well, and then twice even, because the first time and then the second time.
Yeah, he's just flirting with death over and over again. All right, Bert, tell us about yourself and who you're playing.
Sure. I'm Bert, primary GM and host of the podcast of Steam, Steel, and Murder. You can find it at bluemagic.com, BLUMAGIK. 10 years plus worth of gaming goodness in there, all kinds of different things. And I am playing Gunnar Arrowwood, the private detective, now sans one eye. There's a very nice leather eye patch over it now.
Yeah, we had our last... a mystery we were playing over on our previous channel when we were playing this over on the Lollygaggers. We had some werewolves and Gunnar had an encounter with a werewolf, but it's pretty cool. Like that's one of the cooler kind of scars to have, I think, as you move forward.
Makes him more distinguished.
Yeah.
As Mr. Holmes, my rival, is the far more cerebral of the two. I'm not afraid to do the dirty work.
There you go. Hey, Dave. Thanks for stopping by. All right, Chuck, tell us about yourself and tell us about your character.
Oh my gosh. Hi, I'm Chuck, HBIC over at Defenders of Kobold. You can find us there, twitch.tv/Defenders of Kobold. Like Dan said, we got a zine up for sale. You can also find us over on twitch.tv/SwyhanderRPG every other Friday. You can find us on twitch.tv/GoodmanGamesOfficial every other Saturday. And you can also check us here on Free League Publishing every other Saturday. So we're all over the place. And I am playing Anders Jacobson. I am a professor from the college in Uppsala. I like to think I'm, the thinky one of the group. Really, I just get scared a lot and hide behind Gunnar. So it works.
That's probably a good strategy, to be honest.
It's a good strategy. It's done good for me so far.
Yeah.
Good life plan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Melissa.
I'm Melissa with Adventures in Lollygagging. We play games on the internet, twitch.tv/the Lollygaggers. Every Thursday, you can find us on twitch.tv/SpyHunter RPG. We've had some campaigns that we've played there, kind of a little more short run. We have a Spyhander podcast that releases every Monday, wherever you can find podcast Adventures in Lollygagging. And we also play some other free league games as well. We've got a Mutant Year Zero campaign that we play as often as we can. And come check us out.
Yeah, right on. And who are you playing?
I am playing Sigrid Hockstadt. She used to be in a gang, and she is now a priest, and she is 49.
Yeah, we used the optional life path tables in the back of the Vaesen book to create characters, and we had some overlap. Dogmore and Sigrid used to be in a gang together, apparently.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So
That
some
played
good stuff.
that played a bit in our last
Yeah.
last
Luckily,
mystery.
Sigrid covered for me for the most part.
Yeah. Now, yeah.
We
then-
just no one that had any beef with you got left alive. So
Mhm.
there's that.
maybe you don't know that. Yeah, them Dave, like they're in the Scooby Gang now. They're just solving mysteries and such. It was great. I was ready for that line. I've been sitting on that. Caius or Jeremy, tell us about your character and what do you got to plug.
Well, I'll plug the Plewdcast, PLEWD, if you like listening to people talk about fun comic book stuff. I have the special pleasure of playing a lot of games with these folks all week long. I'm going to be playing Caius Roding, who is a filthy rich aristocrat novelist who, is kind of a coward, but tries to pull through.
He's a good person.
He's a good person
Yeah.
who shot a man in the back and killed a werewolf, but, overall,
Uh-huh.
doing his best.
Yep. And has a very interesting family situation.
That's true.
Very, very non-traditional family situation going on, but it's interesting. Okay. And Joe.
I'm Joe from the Defenders of Kobold. I'm a player in a few of the games over there and run a 5th edition game as well. Tonight I am playing Yürgan Leinbaldersön, the doctor of the group. He is maybe questionable morality-wise, but unwavering in his field and always, doesn't mind getting in the dirty, quick things.
Do you want to explain why you call yourself Doctor twice?
Oh yeah, because we rolled to see what profession I would be, and I got doctor twice.
Yeah.
I am a doctor within the doctor range. So
Yeah.
doctor.
Okay.
Just
And
like I'm an expert vagabond.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. You're the best at vagabonding. And you have like 1,000 dogs. Did anyone mention that we have 1,000 dogs?
Oh, yeah.
Dogmore just got all the dogs from his life path tables, and so we just. I think everyone
got a
has
kennel
and
for
you have
the
a
castle.
kennel, so everyone has a
now
dog.
we get even
now.
more dogs.
It's just
I
we've got
wish
a
I had
place-
Dogs.
Yeah, we've got a place to store all the dogs that Dogmore steals.
Every time you all get on a train, you're carrying purses and you have little dogs in them and everything, and no one wants to sit next to you because that's how it works. So, but yeah, tons of that. And finally, I'm Jeff, so I'll be GMing this stuff. And Melissa already covered most of the Adventures and Lollygagging stuff, so let's just move on and play our game because that's what we're here for. So like I said before, we've been playing with these characters for a little bit, but don't worry. Again, we're just starting a fresh mystery and it's totally fine. There's nothing you need to know other than what you've already learned about the characters. So it's springtime in Uppsala still. It's been a few weeks since the last time you all were on, were out of the castle. You had made your way to Kristenham and Karlstad area for a bit. Caius got to see his wife. Sigrid and Dogmore got to visit their old homesteads, and you got to, it was a rough time, and you came back to the castle, and you spent the past few weeks doing some things, recruiting some people. So one of the things that you had to do is you either had to build or expand something on the castle, or you had to recruit new folks. So what did you all end up deciding?
We went with the guard. We haven't built him yet, but we decided to get the guard.
Okay. So yeah, we'll worry about the stats after the session, and we'll walk through how that works. So, you spent a couple weeks maybe interviewing a few people down at the local tavern, the Horn Pub, that you all built or that you all visit frequently, or you call some folks over to Castle Gillencrutz. It's been a weird couple of weeks because more than once and for differing reasons, a variety of cops, of police have popped by the castle because there's all sorts of questions about what exactly is going on within this castle. It's got a strange history, and for long it was left. It was left empty. No one was there. There's rumors abound that devil worshipping and other occultism has taken place inside. But as the new stewards, you certainly seem to, at least for the past couple of months, have been cleaning the place up, or at least your staff has been doing so. But Anders, you have been having some trouble at the university at Uppsala, where you teach. What do you teach, by the way?
Oh man. I knew this at one point. It's history.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
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 Mainly the focus on
folklore or something.
The convergence of folklore and real world history.
Exactly. So you have been having some trouble for a few weeks. This stems back from before your excursion to Christenham, and apparently, and it was very tragic and it was very salacious in the newspapers around Uppsala, one of your professional rivals, Alfred Stenbach, was sadly and horribly found murdered. And they started, and some of the attention was pushed your way because from what people within the department had said is that you two are both up for the same position. And you have something of a checkered history. There's some people who love you, who give you the chili pepper on ratemyprofessor.com, and then there's others
Rightfully so.
that question whether or not you are the most ethical sort.
Listen, you can't make advances without breaking a few eggs or students.
That's true, and it's on that note that Detective Rune Martinson, who you've met before, shows up at the door to Castle Gillencrutz, knocking quite loudly in the morning. The middle of the week. It's a slight rain, kind of sprinkling, and he has a few officers with him. Your butler, Algot Frisk, pulls the door open and says, "Oh dear," and comes chasing after you, and you come down in your morning robe, and you have your pipe ready to go. And Detective Martinson is back again, and he says to you this time, I believe it's better that we ask these questions at a different location, and it would be good if you could put some pants on, Professor, and we'll escort you to the police station here. This
is quite inconvenient, I must say.
Yes, so is murder. It's very convenient to the family of Professor Stenbach.
Am I suspected?
You are a person of interest, let's say.
I will get my pants, but if it is any more than friendly questioning, I will have to request legal counsel.
And I mean, at this point, all of you, if you want to, can be privy to this conversation. This is happening in the open, in like the entry foyer of the castle. And you heard the bell of Algot Frisk that he was ringing to bring attention to other folks in the castle. So you could be in there if you want to be, or you could just roll over and hit the snooze and go back to sleep. It's up to you entirely.
Just like last time, we're all like the kids that are like lined up around the corner, looking around, seeing
one head after
on.
the other popping up along the. Okay.
Yep.
So Anders, you go and you get dressed. You come back down, and not rudely, but not necessarily politely, one of the officers grabs you by the wrist and says, "Come with me, sir," and begins to lead you away. Outside, you can see that there is a small carriage ready and waiting. There's another officer out there at the door to that carriage, keeping an eye on the horses, and they lead you inside and they take you away to the police station. Was anyone
Quite
going
uncalled
to try to follow along, or are you just letting him do this by himself?
Seems worth following.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So a few.
If I know who his lawyer is, I'm just going to simply go and get his lawyer.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. So we'll track down.
I'll
check
just
off-
say a prayer as he goes out, but I'll stay back.
Yeah.
My lawyer is J.G. Wentworth.
J.G. Whitworth. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, it's not. Do you have Hastings in Kansas, or is that just an Arizona thing? We have
I
Hastings.
think that
in
might be
Hastings.
Arizona.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
the worst. So,
Louis, Cheatham, and Howe.
okay, so you make it to the police station. You're taken, away from the opening area. You're sat down in an interrogation room, and you're left to stew for the better part of an hour. Someone comes by every now and then to check to see if if there's anything you need, but for the most part, they're just leaving you there to stew. And finally, Detective Martinson comes in, has a stack of papers in front of him, and he sits down with a mug of something. You've probably been sitting there for a little over an hour. You might need to go to the bathroom. It's like they were just doing this to get you a little bit unsettled.
Yeah.
And so he leans back and he starts asking you about your classes and what is it you teach, and you kind of go through the whole song and dance, and he asks you about, do you ever go on any sort of travel? Do you bring your students ever anywhere maybe to inspect historical sites of significance, either to recent history or to ancient history within Scandinavia? Do you do anything of the sort?
Yes, I have before. I do travel regularly for, study purposes.
I see.
And I have had students accompany me before. That is not something I'm actively in the practice. There was an accident several years ago.
Yes, it's
And-
this accident that has come to my attention, in fact. Would you care to elaborate for the record?
Me and a couple of my students were out on a trip in the woods, camping, looking for an old historical site that I had found reference to. And sadly, we were set on by animals during the night. Bear, I believe, is what the local officials had called it to. I was able to escape, and my students sadly were not. And since this terrible accident, I've taken to not traveling with my students for their own safety. I can put my own life on the line for the furthering of my field, but I cannot ask them to take that risk on themselves again.
It's very interesting. That mostly aligns with what I have here. However, when you say that you were the only one to survive, that is not entirely accurate. I have a report here from, and he kind of flips through it, from a woman by the name of Ulla Magnusson, who says that she was on this little field trip of yours, and that she was, as you say, attacked in the night. And the difference is that she says that you abandoned them, that you left long before the bears attacked.
This is not true. I was never far away. While the bear attack was going on, I was off in the woods, maybe 20 or so yards. Constitutional reasons.
Interesting.
And when I heard the screams, I went to go see what was going on. And there was nothing I could do that wouldn't, put me in further harm. So I fled.
I see. Well, and it's come to my attention that Professor Stenbach actually, as a result of your actions with these students, made a formal complaint against you and tried quite rigorously to have you removed from your position at the University at Uppsala. Were you aware of this?
This is true, yes. I was aware of this.
Now, the very man who tried to do such a thing is dead.
That is tragic. Not anything I've had anything to do with. I would never harm another.
And so the questioning kind of goes on for probably another half an hour, 45 minutes or so. He starts asking you questions about, what is it you're doing at the castle, the history of the castle, a dead body that was found at the castle months ago that kind of has these strange, not entirely perfect similarities to what happened to Professor Stenbach, but kind of raises questions. But eventually, the door busts open and you see Gunnar and Volmar Kant, your old constable friend, your contact within the cops, who at this point is like, all right, enough of this. This is just some kind of wild goose chase. This is all circumstantial, Martinson. And they manage to kind of like, you see like the two of them go at it after a bit, and like Volmar Kant being the new guy in town, Martinson's kind of upset, but nonetheless is outranked. And so because of your police contact and because of kind of Gunnar's friendship that has been growing with this man, it's able to kind of get you out of this situation. But as you're leaving, Martinson like looks at you and says, "This isn't the end, Professor Anders. I know you're up to something, and I'm going to find out what it is."
You'll be wasting your time searching. There's nothing that interesting that I'm doing.
And at that point, Volmar just says to you, like, just go, keep it quiet. And you and Gunnar and whoever else might have been on this little journey come, you kind of get out, and you just know that this guy's beginning to slowly build up a case, circumstantial though it might be, against you. When all of you return to the castle later that afternoon, there is a letter that is waiting. And it is addressed to Dr. Yürgan Leinbaldersön. And they probably spell your name wrong, because I think everyone at this point spells your name wrong.
Yeah.
But Algot will hand it over to you, and you see a name referenced in it that you have not seen in quite some time. And let me go ahead and make this available to everybody within the within our foundry. Okay. So under the journal, when you see Frogs on Parade, that's the name of this little mystery. There is a letter from Asta Melby, and there's like the handwritten portion, and then you can just look at the text side if you want to make it be readable. The handwritten image, by the way, is Celine Dion's handwriting. But yeah. So Dr. Yürgan, you get
journal.
It's under journal. Yeah, look under journal, and then it should be under
Frogs on
Parade,
bright green at the bottom.
The bright green. Perfect.
Tab is the journal.
It looks like
it looks like a book.
Kind of in the center.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's almost
Top
directly in the center.
right.
To the right of the
It's like
suitcase.
an unfurled book or open
Okay,
book.
there you go.
Okay. So you take a look at this letter that Algot hands over to you, and it's just delivered for you this morning, sir. And you start reading through it, and while you don't recognize the name of who it's from, there is a name mentioned within the first line of the letter that immediately you recall, and that is an old friend of yours, a classmate named Victor Martinson, someone you went to school with as you were learning your field, plying your trade. And it says, for the purpose of the stream, while you and I, so it's Dear Dr. Yürgan Leinbaldersön. Your name is very long. Doesn't say that, but it should have. Well, you and I have never met, dear doctor. We share a common association. My employer in charge, Victor Martinson, was once your friend and classmate. Mr. Martinson, in his correspondence to his late father, which I had the honor of reading to him, often spoke highly of your acumen for medicine and for your curiosity, and also for a certain shared experience that he would only refer to vaguely. This preamble is not meant to bore you or delay, but just to account for my boldness in writing to you, for it is likely that I am acting out of turn. I will beg you for forgiveness later. But for now, trust that I write regarding a matter of some urgency. You see, good doctor, your friend is not well. I fear his mind is breaking, or has broken. I do not presume to assign cause or prognosis, but I worry about his safety and the safety of his family's manor, within which he has thus retreated. Mr. Martinson is all but alone. As you know, his mother is long dead. His father passed quietly in his sleep a year ago, and he never had any siblings. He is left now with only myself and a few select servants to care for him. For years he has been abroad, traveling and studying, but after his father's death, he returned to Hoxsund to care for the family manor and its groves as a dutiful son. Only he is not the smiling boy that I once knew. His complexion has grown pale, and he is loath to venture outside. He locks himself in with his studies, and when he calls for meals at all, he does so in his room or in the basement. And he has also grown paranoid, reinforcing and bolting doors, receiving from Christiania packages he refuses to let us tend to. And at night, in his sleep, when he finally does relent to it, he babbles nonsense, and he has more than once interrogated myself and other servants, pointing to shadows and critters, demanding to know what we see. I worry, doctor. The fate which befell his mother has now washed over him. Before her accident, her behavior was much the same. She saw things that were not there, heard things that others did not. I do not want Mr. Martinson to follow this course. He is the last Martinson, and you, dear doctor, might be his last friend. I pray that you make the journey, see your friend, and help the few of us that still care for him. And it says, respectfully yours, a woman by the name of Asta Melby, whose name you don't recall. You don't know that, but you know the man, roughly the same age as you, went to school with you. You would know a few things. You would know that, like you, he has the sight. He has the ability to sort of see Vaesen. You would also know.
Sounds like we shared the same experience to get that.
It's quite possible. Yeah. But the letter talks about bumps in the night, seeing things. He's probably mentioned a few things at some point about his parents to you, particularly his mother. But yeah. So you're given this letter. This is yours to read, yours to share as you please.
Mm. At least he's not asking for money again.
One of those friends.
You would actually know his family is quite wealthy.
Okay.
Yeah. So you would also know Hoxsund is Norway. It's southeastern Norway.
How far would that take for us to travel to from where we're at?
Not far. If you look on the map on Foundry, you can see I've drawn some red lines from Uppsala off to where you might be. It's basically a straight west shot, and there's a lot of trains that you could take. So you're looking at maybe a day or two worth of travel, depending on switchovers.
Okay. Not too bad.
Yeah. So we are now at this point in like the whole preparation phase. So this is sort of your invitation, should you want to accept it, to help your friend, and you can start doing whatever kind of preparation you want in terms of researching here, buying things, whatever it is that you want to do before heading out.
Would I know if he had the site before his mother passed?
If he did, he didn't say so.
Okay.
You would know that. You would know that he was estranged from his father for a while after his mother passed when they were young, when he was young, and you probably haven't communicated with him in quite some time. It's probably been a while, a few years, in fact, since you heard from him. You would know that you would know that he's quite wealthy, and you know his family made like their money in like the foresting industry or something like that. But that he, last you heard, was traveling abroad, was like a natural philosopher. He was studying the natural world and probably avoiding his family.
Would I know where in particular he was going, or is that as much as I knew about it?
You would probably vaguely know Britain, France, Germany. The specifics, you probably wouldn't know.
Okay.
So would you share this with your fellow investigators?
He's gonna go it alone.
I'm not sure
See
how far into out. No, I'm not sure how far into detail I would go, but I would definitely mention I have a friend. He goes way far back. Sounds like something's going on with him, and he's sort of losing it. And I would very much like to go check on him and see what's going on.
Okay.
Of course.
I would mention too that I believe he shares the site like the rest of us, so it could be something that only we would be able to help him with.
Okay. And you know the destination as like I said, as Huxand. You know how long it would basically take to get there. So you have some library. You have like the library within the castle. You can look stuff up if you want. And you can also, this is perfect time if we want to prepare for your journey and, you know, do some resource rolls and things. We could do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing a little bit of looking over that already.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
We
if you
will-
yeah.
I'm half tempted to push for armor for Dogmore.
Oh my gosh.
So
Oh my.
if you're just watching this for the first time, like if you've never seen Vaesen before, so Vaesen is all about like kind of mysteries basically. Like you just go out in these mysteries, and there's like a phase. There's a preparation phase where they have everyone has a resource score, and the resource score is like abstracting their wealth, like how much wealth that they have access to, and like you roll that, and that determines how much money do you have to pay. You have to kind of use to buy stuff, to buy equipment and things like that you might need on your journey. People also have capital that can burn. So that's kind of the phase we're in right now, where they're going to do a little research perhaps on where they're going, and then they're also going to get a little money or get a little equipment with some of the money that they have. We've done this before, so you all know that the shopping and services tab has everything you need, and it's just a question of what you want to do. So who's buying stuff and who's researching stuff?
Let me
I
roll
can do
my
research.
one resource to see if I can.
Okay.
Fail as usual. I've never
Well, we
succeeded.
can can pool our resources.
I know.
Mhm.
I'd just like to know that I'm contributing nothing like usual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of these days you're going to roll a 6, and you're not going to want anyone to use that one little resource. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Dan, you can also use the we have something in our facility that actually
bank-
lets somebody
the
gain a
banker.
+2. Yeah,
Mhm.
banker. You can actually get a
Mhm.
+2.
We're doing a resources roll, right?
yeah. So
Yep.
just on your character sheet, just hit your resources button, and we'll see how much money you have to work with.
Wouldn't it be fun if I had more than one to roll though?
Okay.
Let's see. So
The fun is failing.
Right.
I'm going to donate 14 resources to the pool.
Okay.
Gosh.
Did you just burn a bunch of capital?
That's what I do every mission. Every
Okay.
mission, Caius puts everything he has into the pool for the party.
Caius being a filthy rich. So you got, it looks like you got 4 successes. So you have 4 just from rolling, plus the how much, Jeremy?
14,
so-
that's 18.
Plus 14.
Did I get 4 successes? I thought I only got 2.
Oh, have you rolled yet?
I see 2 plus Melissa's 1 plus Bert's 1.
I
Here,
think
I
we
can
need
throw
an
mine in too.
intervention with Caius. You know, he keeps putting up all of his worldly possessions every time we go into danger. I think he might have problems.
Poor Caius. Now
He means well. He really does.
We've got like a total of 16 resources to start with, I think. Then.
like Caius, you're expecting.
Well,
What are you doing?
I reserve my capital for once we're out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Things that come up.
Caius, how much were you throwing in? Was it 14?
14.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a total
that
of
gives us
18 to work with.
18.
18.
That's
We
so
should
much.
probably take the things that we know we gotta spend out first, like transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really, all you would need is train travel. Easily enough done. There would likely be a need from for the last leg of the journey to probably have carriage, hire a coach. So you can probably get that done pretty easily. So you're looking at burning about 5 for travel, which leaves
Okay,
you
so we
13 for purchasing resources and whatnot.
Okay. Do we need weapons?
possibly.
Well, so
Probably.
far, so I've
Sadly,
got a
I've spent
knife.
no time on the shooting range, so I'm still not good with that.
Okay.
I still have a knife, so I'm good.
Yeah, I'm same boat.
Yeah.
Sketchy Caius has a gun. That's always good.
Caius has a gun. Yeah.
Okay. What are we thinking?
I don't have any weapons, but I usually lean on the dogs.
Mhm.
Okay.
You could.
I would like a dagger or something.
Sure.
We can get you a knife.
Those are cheap.
Was that Jeff? You're gonna say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, your dogs help you in close combat. You could always get a close combat weapon too. There's
That's true.
plenty of the melee weapons there as well. So I think there's a few knives that are floating around the party, but there's others as well.
Yeah. So if we get 2 knives, one for the doctor and one for Dogmore, that would take us down to 11.
It's just 2 apiece, so yeah, you'd be at 11.
And
Okay.
everyone's got a weapon.
All right.
What do we
I may go
usually
for a
get?
knuckle duster for flavor. I think it's the same cost.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
So if you take some time to learn about where you're going, you would know a few things. You would know that where you're heading is not. It's kind of a middle ground. It's not backwoods or anything like that, but it's also not newly modern. It's a little bit of a mix. So there'll be access to certain things, but likely not everything. So things might. So the more newly modern weaponry or the more newly modern devices might not be as easily accessible. That you're going to be traveling through Christiania and Drammen, and those places might have more things. So, and they're not that far away, but like that last carriage ride out to Hoxton might be a little bit more difficult. You would also be able to learn about the kind of the surrounding area. Like it's right on a river, like a river cuts right through the city. And you also know that it's known for like groves and there's some forests if they're still standing anyway. So there is a decent amount of wilderness that kind of pervades the area. It's not a particularly wealthy place, but there are a few that hold the majority of the wealth.
Chuck, in our group supplies, do we have a map book?
I have a map book. Yeah.
Okay.
I have one. So I think we'll get rope for one. We got a hurricane lamp last time. Maybe we get 2 of those.
Yeah. It's nice to have more than one source of light.
Yeah.
So we still have the hurricane lamp from last time?
No,
Okay. So we're getting another one.
we lost one. So that'll be
Okay.
ropes 1, hurricane lamp. It's one
Since
each.
we're going
so
to be in the
3.
woodlands again, do we want to grab a compass?
That's a good idea.
Yep.
So compass costs 2. So what are we at? We're down to 8 right now.
Do we have bandages?
Joe, do you have bandages? We had some last time. I didn't keep them. Or we didn't get to carry them over.
I thought he had like a doctor's bag
He
that
has a
kind of
medical
functions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure. They're required for medicine tests. So
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got. I think you got medical equipment, right?
Oh,
right,
I was
Joe?
muted. I think the doctor's bag I have
Yeah.
substitutes that. So
okay.
I've got a medical bag.
Perfect.
And we've got lock picks. We got binoculars. We've got a crowbar.
Mhm.
Bert, do you still need a magnifying glass or do you have one?
Good question. I think I have one already now, but let me check my permanent thing to make sure.
And Jeff, I can also spend some time in the library.
I have a magnifying glass,
Okay.
along with lockpicks and liquor.
That counts. Maybe we should
Important
just
stuff.
buy a bunch of booze. I mean,
I
don't-
know we should.
I don't see a reason for poison. I don't see a reason for disguise.
Okay.
We've
I
got
thought
plenty of
about getting
dogs.
fine wines, but
Yeah.
And why isn't cocaine just on this list? Because we need we need
That's
some of that.
I don't know. We're on the Free League channel now. I guess, like, hey, for your next Vaesen expansion, could you put cocaine on your item list?
Please include more
just for
hard
Gunner,
drugs.
please. Chuck, you said you're doing
The Gunner
what were you
expansion.
doing?
I was going to do some research in the library on where we're going, seeing if I can pick up any lore or legends for this area.
Okay, so you're looking specifically for lore or legends. Okay, so if you go through the castle's library, you look to see if anybody in the past has been to this area, and lo and behold, someone has.
Okay.
A few decades passed. You do know that there was a bit of time between when you all took over stewardship of the castle, where it was just remained empty. And then it's just a question of where you go. You know, like where do the society calls sends themselves. So. There was mention of a particular group of kind of like occultist types, or they were referred to as like pagans or naturalists, who claim that the land surrounding Hoxand is blessed by nature spirits. They weren't specific about what spirit it was. They just said nature spirits. The investigating society member didn't seem to be able to confirm nor deny, but did recognize that there was there might be something to the claim, but they themselves were not able to kind of encounter any specific Vaesen. There's
An elbow of Caius, like, sounds like your wheelhouse, huh?
Caius has a type.
I mean,
yeah. Let's see what else. There was a group. So the group specifically, they called themselves the Grove Tenders. Like there was like a whole like cultish group or whatever you want to call it, called the Grove Tenders. And from what the society could discern is they used to live kind of away from town in nearby forests. But this was before the foresting industry kind of came there. And this was, again, decades ago. And there's no more up-to-date information. If you look up basic details about the town itself, you know that there is a medieval church that was built literally hundreds of years ago, called the Hog Church, that burnt down about 30 years ago and has been in the process of being rebuilt. The Martinsons, you look into them, you can confirm a little bit of what Yürgan was able to say, is that they are wealthy, and they did make their fortune in the foresting industry. And you can see that at a certain point, several years ago, the family kind of retreated from public life or from publicly running the company, and that seems to coincide with the death of the matriarch of the family. There's also a noteworthy glassworks factory that is in the town that is kind of clinging to like kind of an older style of glass production, despite the fact that industry is starting to move into the area. Anything else you would be looking for specifically before you would leave? Things you could...
What's the name of the glassworks factory?
It doesn't actually have one.
Okay.
I don't know. That gives us a start.
A little bit of basic information. At least.
Until we get a stronger point of compass on what's plaguing the doctor's friend. I'm not sure what else I could dig up.
Okay.
I want to specifically look at recent news from the area and surroundings.
Okay.
Say the last 3 months.
Okay, last 3 months. Nothing newsworthy seems to have cropped up in the past 3 months. In fact, the most recent news article that you can find that's in like the local libraries in Uppsala as you go searching has to do with the death of the patriarch of the Martinson family, and that was roughly a year ago, and that was the last time that Hoxand seemed to have really popped up into the news. Nothing suspicious about the death or anything like that. He was an elderly man. He died alone, and it was noted that his son did not attend. So it was a little over a year ago. And that's it. That's all you really kind of have for recent news.
Nothing unusual. So like he was around an age that it wouldn't have been strange for him to die.
Yeah. Natural causes.
No great fortune left behind.
Everything is left to Victor, and they are again fairly wealthy. They never quite made the move into the city. If you want to dig back further, if you want to spend more time and dig back further, you can find a couple other interesting tidbits in that. This is many years ago. There was like scandal that was popping up about the death, and apparently it was being investigated. The mother's death was being investigated as something other than an accident. Apparently, she fell down some stairs and broke her neck, and there were reports possibly fueled by like rival foresting companies to suggest that maybe the elder Martinson, the father, was responsible, but those never came to pass. There's some sort of strange gaps in where Victor was, like when they try to track like where was he during certain years, where no one like was noteworthy out of sight. Yürgan, he probably wouldn't have shared too much, but he would have probably mentioned the death of his mother to you when he was younger, because it was such a seminal moment in his life. But he probably kept some other things close to the chest.
Chuck, do we have resources left to spend?
Yeah, we've got 6. I went ahead and got some bandages. The question is, unless there's more adventuring gear, we could maybe look at another revolver. Dogmore did mention armor, so if we got a revolver and armor, that would spend it up. Or do we want to save the 6 we've got to get lodgings when we get there?
Couldn't hurt to save a little bit.
Yeah, let's save.
I'm gonna say I'm saving my 4 capital, so I've got
Yep, me
some
too.
cash still.
Oh, and don't forget, you can always roll resources in these situations too.
And we got 2
Would I-
resources from the bank.
Would I be like comfortable or confident that my friend would let us stay with him, perhaps?
That's hard to say. It's been a while, and from what the letter describes a fairly paranoid man, which
Probably leaning towards not.
which I would say he was a quirky individual in college, but you got along with him just fine, and you've had similar interests, but yeah, it's certainly worth a try and a roll.
Can me and 5 of my friends crash on your couch?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
One of
like
your
when you
many
show up with
couches?
6 people. You're like,
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't
And
know.
30 dogs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and plus all the dogs, they need room.
Maybe we should save that 6 for lodging just in case. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think of any-
The only other thing I was thinking of was possibly hunting equipment if the area we're going to would be considered wilderness, because that
Mm.
helps with investigation in wilderness.
there is definitely some area around that would be considered wilderness. You can easily enough figure that out.
that's not a bad idea. Let's get hunting equipment, maybe bank 4
Where was hunting equipment?
under equipment up
Under
at the,
equipment, it's a 2 bonus to investigation in the wilderness,
Yeah.
and it costs 2.
Mhm.
Looking for it. I wish that they were in alphabetical order.
It is the 4th from the bottom in equipment.
It's alphabetized
we-
for me.
Oh, I'm
We
looking
will-
on the. I'm looking on the
I'm looking in the PDF.
Yeah.
which is
Okay.
Yeah.
In
I'm
Foundry.
looking on the
Okay,
scene.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
Foundry, they're alphabetized.
Because
We're
we
all
will
looking
have
somewhere
hunting
else.
dogs.
Yeah.
If you take a hunting dog from our kennel, we get those for free.
Who? Do you want to tell people what the names of the dogs are? By the way, Dan.
Oh, of my dogs?
Yeah.
Let me see, because they moved, and I don't know if the name's stuck now, but it was. I know the first 2 were Salt Pepper and then
Salt and pepper.
Spinderella.
And there's Spinderella. That's right. Yeah. Okay.
But I think that their names got dropped when they got rechanged to the new gear stuff.
Okay. All
I
right.
can't remember what the 4th one was. I had a name for him.
Sorry. Yeah. I switched out the icon, so it might have dropped it.
It'll come to you.
All right. So you're banking a couple, or are you going to spend those last 4?
I'm cool with banking it unless someone really has a good reason on something we need to buy right now. I mean, the only thing I could think of is weapons, but I'm
And
not.
I can see where they might have hunting equipment in an area like that. So We could maybe
why don't-
decide on that later.
Well, I've already got it down. Why don't we go with 1 rope, 2 hurricane lamps, a compass, 2 bandages, and 1 hunting equipment, and then we'll go into it with 4 group resources in case we need to buy something.
Okay.
In addition to all of our capital for those of us that have capital left.
And we're going through a
Cool.
big city, so if you think of something on the train, we can buy it at Christiana.
Okay. I've got that
Sounds good to
flag
me.
down in the party inventory, so
Cool.
Which I'm not positive I can see.
you can. It's under equipment and shopping in the journal, and it's the top one listed in equipment and shopping, party inventory.
Ah, okay. I've just been looking in the wrong place.
We're in the same wavelength there,
It
Jeremy.
makes it hard to see if you don't look at the right place.
Okay, so unless there's something else you wanted to look for, you can kind of the next day can easily hop on the train and begin the trek over. Unless there's something else.
Mm-mm.
All right.
Last time we had a hard time finding our necessary narcotics. Stock up before we leave. Try
Okay.
and find some.
We could say burn a resource to buy. a
Done. I would
sufficient
rather do
number
that
of
than roll.
Okay, so you hop on the train. You know that there's effectively 2 ways that you can go to get there, and it just determines whether you want to go north around Lake Venern or if you want to go south. Going north would take you through Karlstad again, which is again Dogmoor's and Sigrid's home, our previous home. It's a question of whether you wanted to avoid that or not. But you hop into
Going through there, it's time for Rubatega to make another appearance.
Yeah. We did not buy any disguise this time. So
I have
so
mine
the other
still.
So
one.
we'll
still
go the
has
other
it.
way.
Kept it.
Okay.
Ah,
It's
I kept-
delightful.
Okay.
I want to go to the coast.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, we haven't seen it before.
So you get on the train in Uppsala and begin kind of a long. It's not going to take forever, but it's a couple different trains. There's some stops. There's places we'll let other people on, etc. And then you have to shift other people out. So it's really not too complicated of a travel. The first you make your way to Stockholm. First on the train. Don't forget that this is the journey phase, so this is where you all figure out your advantages. So you figure out a scene that you want to play at any point in the journey. Just interrupt me as I'm kind of going through stuff if there's anything that you can think of that fits, and you can take your advantage for the mystery. But in Stockholm,
I'm trying to double check something too while we're talking about it. So.
in Stockholm, the remnants of a traveling stage show get on the train, and it's not really a hex crawl, Jeff. It's it's definitely not. It's more of a. It's like there's usually anywhere between like 3 or
Scene-based.
5. Yeah, it's very scene based, and it's all we play it pretty heavily mystery, and it's kind of clue collection, visiting different locations within like an area. So they're going to a particular place, and then they have like a couple sub locations
Right.
within that area to collect clues, and all leading to kind of some kind of some sort of confrontation. Okay.
Any one of us can get an extra advantage on a weapon.
Okay.
So
So
just something to keep in mind.
just interrupt me when you feel like you have something and tell me to shut up. You get on the train in Uppsala. You head down. It's a quick ride down to Stockholm. You've been here before, no problem. You're in the cart. It's a lovely spring day. They have the windows down, winds kind of kicking through. A few people break out some refreshments that they had along with them. Traveling stage show gets on the train, and they're bound for Gothenburg. And during much of the ride between Stockholm and Kristinehamn, they're performing these impromptu parodies of like Shakespearean plays and such. So they're like doing joke renditions of Macbeth and like The Tempest and like Midsummer's Night Dream and whatnot.
That sounds great.
And the passengers like yourselves are incredibly, it's like you get entertainment. It's like an in-flight movie. It's fantastic. And every now and then you can see one of the actors kind of move up and down with their hat out and kind of collecting coins along the way and getting their tips. No one really seems to interfere with this, and then they take a break and then they'll come back again. Anyone doing on the first leg here?
I would love to join them and share notes and maybe get some ideas.
Okay. So in between one of their little impromptu recreations, you sit down, sort of talk to them a bit. One of them is an actor, but also often writes many of the plays or adapts many of the plays. So you kind of exchange secrets, little tips here and there. So you can go ahead and write your advantage down. Remember that it could be anything. So in this case, it could be something like investigation. Maybe you get a bonus on your academic writing at some point.
Okay.
Maybe that could probably work. So you can get a bonus on that roll since you
Cool.
tap into that town a lot. And so you make it to Christianham. You're there briefly, not long enough, unfortunately, to go say hi to the Mrs. Caius. But nonetheless, it's nice to see some familiar places.
Yeah.
Out the window, you can see the floundering lad. You can see Wilhelmina, the sheriff. The things are kind of settling in and kind of going about just fine. When you continue to travel, you eventually get to a place called Gothenburg, which well, actually, first you travel after traveling through Christianham, you get to a place called Lidköping, which is you kind of cross over this river. You can look out at the Lake Vänern, and you've traveled across Lake Vänern here and there, but it was mainly just this small portion on the eastern side. So at this point, as you're traveling southwardly across it, you're seeing just like this vast, like insular ocean almost, and kind of amazed at just how much of the ride after Christianham is just constantly with waterfront to your north without any problem. Eventually, you make it to Gothenburg, which is a fairly large city itself on the coast. It's highly industrial. It's a huge fishing industry, and you can see that a lot of people have started to getting on and off the train. This is the destination for quite a few people, but there's also others that are getting on, and you start recognizing accents, French accents, British accents, German accents. It seems a bit cosmopolitan. You got all these different folks, and you can also see that there's huge, there's all these huge buildings, there's universities, etc. Now, the next part of the journey is anybody looking to do something between Christianham and Gothenburg?
If we stop long enough that I can up to a bookstore. Well, what I want to do is just bone up on some survival skills. Get a book about how to survive in nature, sort of things.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and there's plenty of time in Gothenburg. It's kind of a long layover, as a lot of folks are was a destination for your specific ticket, and so now you're waiting for your connecting car, which is a few hours later. So you have time to explore the city a little bit, and you're able to find a local bookstore. You go in, ask for something, and you grab yourself a little what to expect when you're out in the wilderness book. And this could give you a bonus to basically any kind of survival type thing. So it can be whether it's stealth or vigilance in the wild, or force, even if you're doing some kind of march. We can make any of that work.
I want to find a
at this
church.
point.
Good.
Okay. Church. Absolutely. You could. There's.
I'm assuming it's a waterfront church, which is what I'm really looking for.
Well, it is now. So there's a waterfront church you should find. Quite lovely. The weather here on the West Coast is what to expect when you're expecting to be in the wilderness. Yeah, that's a good title. So yeah, you find yourself at church while Gunner's off book shopping. What are you looking to do here?
I'm looking to make a contact with the chaplain there and see if he or she knows kind of who the local chaplain is where we're going.
Okay. So you hear a little bit, and you mentioned Gothenburg. No, I can't recall anybody specifically who's been assigned there. And maybe we'll say you do this again when you get to Christiania, because that's capital of Norway.
Closer.
It's closer, and then you are given a name at that point, and the name specifically is Father Adrian. And so if you want, you can take your advantage as a bonus to some sort of interaction with Father Adrian. So anything like that.
Thank you.
Yürgan, what were you looking to do?
I feel like while we were on the train, I would have been going through my medical bag, cleaning things and getting it situated for the trip.
Sure.
And remembered that I stabbed a werewolf in the neck with my scalpel. And I'm imagining it's probably a little bit bent out of shape
Yeah.
So I'd be just looking to get my medical supplies like refixed and
Mhm.
maybe upgraded slightly.
Yeah. So,
So-
advantage towards a medicine roll at some point for sure.
Yep.
Makes perfect sense. Let's see. I think it's Chuck and Dan that are left. So we eventually you get on the train in Gothenburg and you start making your way up north a bit. Kind of arcs around some of the fjords to the west, and you make it into Christiania, and that's where you have a little bit of time, not as much time as you had in Gothenburg, but a little bit of time. You see Sigrid kind of make a quick run to a church and talks church stuff, and but eventually you got to get back on the car and you do the last leg of the train because you know that your ticket goes to a place called Drammen. While in the capital of Norway, it's another big booming population. There's construction everywhere. There's all sorts of talk about like this royal palace that's being constructed. You can kind of see it if you look out on the skyline a bit. But eventually you get to Drammen and you hang around for most of the day. And
While in Drammen, I want to hit up the library
okay,
and just, same thing I did before. Just look up local legends, local folklore,
okay,
stuff like that.
all right. We could do a bonus to a learning test, maybe.
Okay.
Sounds good.
And so, similar situation. I'm kind of just hoping to hit the streets and just talk to some people, maybe see if I can just push people into telling me a little more than they're comfortable with.
Okay.
Working on the manipulation a little bit.
Okay. We could do manipulation or observation too, because observation is sort of like insight checking, determine if a person's lying. So either one of those could fly. So we'll say you get a little gossip about the Martinson family, and you hear a few different stories. And now that you're kind of closer, more people know the name. They're not as big in the game anymore in terms of like the industry, though they still have some holdings that kind of pay out just fine. They're not actively, no one's actively running their foresting company anymore. It was kind of bought out at some point. And, but you hear a story that when Victor Martinson, Jürgen's friend, was young, he spent a year in the asylum in Christiania. I never really know how to pronounce that. Christiania, something like that. But he spent a year in an asylum. The story was that he was away at a boarding school or a preparatory school, when in fact it was he was actually in an asylum.
Okay.
And so we'll say that you can take a kind of +1 to manipulation or observation as you're interacting with the local folks in Hoxton. Okay. So you kind of have to do an all-nighter sitting around the train car as you arrive fairly late in Drammen, but in the morning you're able to kind of do the various odds and ends, and eventually you hire a stagecoach to take you the rest of the way to Hoxton, which basically has you traveling along a river for about an hour or two, a little longer than it actually. A couple times the dogs have to get out. There's 2 coaches actually that are heading out. And like for a lot of the travel, like you're split. And so like in one car, you've got like Caius and you've got like Dogmore with the dogs and a bunch of kids and like a mother. And then in the other, it's like the adult car.
They're probably having a great time.
And that's like where
That sounds
Gunnar
delightful.
is and Anders and Jürgen, and like there's we'll say Anders. Yeah, Anders and Jürgen and Gunnar are in like the front car with all the adults, including like this old man with his son, and they're drinking brandy and smoking cigars and talking about how his son's going to college and such soon. And then Anders, you hear them, like you kind of overhear them talking about how, yeah, my wife is just so concerned with sending him off to college. I mean, if you read these stories coming out of the University of Uppsala, it's just, college is just a dangerous thing. I tell her she's just being ridiculous, to be honest, but so be it. So like it's
Dangerous when you feed those students to bears.
yeah.
I don't want to talk about that. I'll introduce myself on hearing them and put in a few good words and say that the rumors are vastly overstated.
Okay.
Not
There's
that
only
many
one
students
bear.
have died.
there's
Yeah.
only 3/4 of the students died. It's not all of them.
It was just one
okay.
class.
Okay. Just one class. Oh,
Wonderful.
God.
An
I guess class
acceptable-
sizes in the 1800s were much smaller than today.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably making up just a brief play in the meanwhile where Dogmore gets propped up like he's King Arthur and his dogs are the Knights of the Round.
Okay.
Just entertaining the kids.
Oh,
Knights
I'll
of
play
the
that
Pound.
out.
Aw,
The Knights of the Pound. Yes, there it is.
Nice
Boom.
and pound. I like it.
perfect.
That's a new short story being published soon by Caius.
Dogmore will ham that up.
So you travel for a bit, and one of the stagecoaches like breaks down, and you're left on the side of this river for a significant period. The dogs are absolutely going crazy. You're about halfway between, you're basically just outside Drammen, and then you're heading like the last leg to Hoxand, and the dogs are kind of going insane. At a certain point, the family just gets so fed up and so frustrated that they just turn back. They're like, the hell with this. This is absolutely ridiculous. And so they very much like kick you out of the one of the cars. Like, here, if you want to get there so badly, then you can have this coach. We'll take another. This place is a shithole anyway. And they travel back. But eventually the stagecoach is fixed. And you make it to Hoxand, and
They not love my dogs.
they didn't love your dogs. At
I
sunset.
don't love them anymore either. Then
So finally you arrive at
the
Hoxand.
dogs.
Finally you arrive at Hoxand, and you can see that the river is rushing past you to the north. You can see that there's buildings on both the north and south side. And strangest thing is that pretty much since a quarter mile outside of town, all the way up to town, you couldn't even really hear yourselves talk anymore, because the sounds of the river and the sounds of these incessant croaking of frogs would just completely and utterly drown out most things that you say. But eventually you make it to the stagecoach area. Your stuff is unpacked. Your dogs are freaking out and going in, and they're trying to chase these frogs that just pop out of nowhere. Like you see them, they're in the grass, and then they pop out and they go back into the grass. And Dogmore, it's all you can do to keep your shoulder from being torn out, as they just want to chase after them. But you look around and you can see that the sun is dying in the west. You've got
Where we're going, I'll let you out and play. Calm down.
but you have reached Hoxand. You can see that there's like this main central town area. There's a bridge. There's sort of not a bridge, like a ferry that goes across the other side of the river, where you can see like other buildings and a few industry buildings on the other side. It looks like there's a town that sprawls out to the south. What do y'all want to do?
We're all going to turn to Yürgan to lead the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Jürgen has never
No
done
pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be like, yeah, this way.
Okay.
We could. I know this is a controversial statement. Ask for directions.
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see if the locals know,
Okay.
just as a test.
So, when you
Just to double check what
Yeah.
you remember.
See if something else is up.
Mhm.
when you ask like the coachman, they say like I think there's a tavern, and they point sort of on the south side of the river, like it's somewhere over there. I can't remember specifically where it's at. When you look over to the north, you can see on like an embankment overlooking the river, like you can see there's a couple of folks that are lingering there. They're kind of squatting and looking back. You wander over, and like
They're poking a dead guy in the river.
and as you're getting close, you just hear, "Ugh, no, gold, not again. Oh, no." And you get close and you realize that they're having a bit of a constitutional problem. And there's like 3 people that are all kind of squatting around this bush on this embankment overlooking the river. Each one of them are just, no.
I think I'm gonna step away from that conversation.
Okay.
Give them some privacy.
Okay.
No, thank you.
They look up at you and they're like, "Hi, welcome to Hoxton." Oh, that's not good. That's not good. And all three of them just look to be, like they're having trouble.
Yeah, never mind.
And they just ate here.
No, like you're by the stagecoach right now. You guys haven't wandered into town yet. You're like still kind of
Okay.
on the edge of town.
Okay, just making sure.
Just kind of doing the thing where you like look just to the left of them so you don't actually make eye contact.
Could you recommend a good restaurant? Sorry. But you can talk to them if you want. You can call out to them, or you can travel further into
Where
town.
did you guys eat so that we don't go there?
Oh, I'll eat at home. And they're like, yeah, I'll eat at home too. And it looks like they have like some fishing equipment and such. Like you see some poles on the ground.
So maybe
Self, don't eat the fish.
Yes. No.
Just
no
like
fish for
airplane.
dinner.
Okay. All right. So if you start wandering into town, you do notice that the sun is still out. It's just going down. It's sunset. So like it actually looks very beautiful as you watch the sun and to the west kind of start to go down over the trees that are in the distance, and it looks really, really nice in here. But as you God dang it, Woda. As you navigate the streets, there's not many people on them. Occasionally you hear the sound of like footsteps, and you look down an alleyway and you catch like the tail end of like a skirt as it just flutters in the wind as someone just turns a corner, and you pass by like an alleyway and you see maybe somebody like doubled over and like throwing up onto the ground.
A lot of people.
Roll. How about maybe two of you roll vigilance tests?
Oh.
Should have spent those last 4 on our own food, apparently.
I can roll a vigilance test.
I would like to do that.
Two people's. So
All right. Yeah.
I get
You guys
7
got it.
dice
you can
on
take a +1 mod because there's a group of you. It's just I don't want to have like 6 people.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'll do one if
I
someone
got
else-
one.
Okay, Anders
got
has
one.
one.
Oh, we got 2
Fine.
successes.
Okay. Jürgen's got the other. All right.
Vigilance is my only thing.
Okay. Oh, that's
It's
right.
fine.
Sorry, Dagmar. Don't
No,
worry.
it's fine.
There'll be more of these.
There will
Okay.
be more.
So, as you're walking, you notice a few things, Anders. You notice that there is much like by the river where there is a fairly healthy frog population. As you're going through these streets and alleyways, you're trying to make sense of where stuff is. There's no signage. Like, why don't they have street signs? You notice that there is an incredibly healthy rat population. Like, there's just rats everywhere. It's just scurrying about. Like, you see them down the alleyways. They're going into and out of homes. You're finding these little holes in the walls, dying into brush. You can see little burrows in the ground that you just dive into. You can see some of them that are just brazenly standing on top of like trash and crates that are thrown behind buildings. Some of them are skirting across the rooftops.
We definitely should have brought our own food.
And you also notice, Anders, that when you look a little bit more carefully at, like, as you're trying to look for signage, you can see that the homes themselves also kind of strange. Like, a lot of the wood paneling on some of these homes shows signs of rot. The stone foundation of others seems to be cracking. There's just like there's sort of this general state of rot, or this general state of erosion, or kind of a downtrodden feel.
Or they weren't
Okay.
joking when they said this place is a shithole.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very colorful.
Apologies to anyone who's actually from this place. Totally taking poetic license, artistic license. So you do also find, Anders, a little place that has kind of a broken sign. You can look up and you can see that it was a wood sign. It looked like there was like a lumberjack of some kind that was swinging an axe down, and the axe was like sticking up out of the top of the wood, but it's broken off, and so it just looks like their hands are about to karate chop down into a log. And this faded paint calls it the Woodcutter's Rest.
Well, let's
Looks like a good place
Go
for us
get
to
a
go
drink.
get sick.
Mhm.
Okay.
Hopefully their drinks aren't bad.
Avoid the chowder. That's a good one.
We
Avoid the
need
chowder.
alcoholic drinks only, and we need overcooked meat.
Um,
Yes, whatever you make, please
This is the
cook
place
twice.
where you get medium well.
I think you get well
get
done
well
here.
done.
Yeah.
Like, I'll
Yeah.
just take a salad. That's okay.
I don't even know if I trust that with rats. and
That's
stuff.
fair.
Mm,
So you go inside the Woodcutter's Rest, and you see, a fairly humble-looking tavern. You can see a staircase off to the right that goes up to a second floor. There's a little chalkboard that says "Seat yourself," and when you look around, there's probably room for about two dozen people, maybe 30 if they're pushing it in this area. And you count up, and there's 3. And there's and one of those is like a person who works here apparently, and
Just also out there on the
they're
tables.
just kind of like doing the classic, just sitting on one of the tables, like their feet on one of the chairs. They see the door open up and they see a bunch of okay. And they get up and they have like an apron on, and they look kind of surprised, like, customers. How delightful! And they quickly usher you in, and they pull a couple tables together so that you can sit with each other and go through the menu and ask for drinks and look at anything. Very, very affable. Very affable.
Pardon me. What would you suggest that would not make us violently ill?
The food here is wonderful. This morning I feel good, and as Frank and Helga over there, they just ate the fish dinner about, was it an hour ago? And look at them, they look fit as a fiddle.
Do you know what all the other people around town have been eating? I see a lot of people sick around here.
Oh, pish bosh. It's fine. But I'll cook it extra well done for you.
Okay, there's 3 people shitting in a bush outside. It's a little,
when nature calls, But he's definitely fumbling, and he there's a sense of desperation in his face. You can certainly see, but no, everything's fine here, just fine. And you see him pick up like a chunk of bread that is at Frank and Helga's table and takes a bite out of it, and he's like, "See, everything's great." And he just kind of crunches down on the outer shell and the mushing on the inside, and he kind of pours a
I
brew
give
for
him a
himself.
real strong look to make sure he doesn't have any double takes on that.
It's fine. It's completely overblown. It's just we got a bit of a bug moving around. That's all. Just a bit of a bug.
God,
How many people are getting sick with this bug?
A few. It's just an upset stomach. Nothing to be concerned about. Yeah, to have a seat, and he's kind of holding the seats out for you all. Like, sit.
Thank you so
Sit.
much.
Yeah, a 2-for-1 deal
okay.
tonight.
We're definitely not rushing to sit down. We're still
Yeah.
just sort of-
2-for-1
I am.
deal.
I'm tired.
I just had a real life experience with this bug last night, so there's
God.
some personal concern here now.
Sorry, Tim.
Oh.
Giving you flashbacks.
Oh no.
But like he goes and he brings you back rounds of drinks, and he's like, do you put in food orders or drink orders? Does anybody?
Wait. Yeah.
I'll do it. But I'm gonna put in some alcoholic to drink,
Okay. I'm just gonna,
and
Coffee, shot of bourbon.
okay.
Yeah.
yeah, that sounds good. And then some overcooked fish or something, whatever
Okay.
meat.
Okay.
I'm gonna make sure that I let my dogs smell it first.
Oh, that's not a good test. They'll eat anything.
They won't eat
Yeah.
anything. I'll make them sick most.
All right. So Anders, Gunnar, and Dog were top row. Are
It's
brave.
bad.
I'll
Is the
eat
bottom
as
row
well.
brave? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm taking a big loaf of bread.
I'll get some bread as well.
Boiled to make it come out.
See if that bread's
smoother.
been tunneled into first.
Some meat, just shy of burnt.
Okay. Is anyone not? How about this? Is anyone not eating anything or drinking anything?
We're all having something.
Fine.
It's really just
Yeah.
whether or
Well,
not
when you
we're
put it
fine.
that way.
meat or fish.
But I
Just
can't
nothing
say
to
that-
be suspicious about here. Just nothing.
There's nothing
Nothing
about
at
the
all.
city that is
Just keeping track of
peaked.
resources. That's all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
cost.
Nothing has piqued Caius's appetite in this city so far.
Okay.
Quite the opposite.
Would you like a glass? Like, can I get you anything at all? We've got fruit drinks. We've got apple. We got cider. We've got.
Um, I'm quite good, thank you.
Yeah.
Upset stomach from the ride. I'm so sorry. I've just got to.
Okay. So
The trail mix on the train is just going to hold you over.
yeah.
Hope you crammed your
Yeah,
pockets full.
the complimentary peanuts.
So so he comes back a little while later. He starts passing out drinks and such and food, and you look at it, you sniff it, you smell it, you let your dogs take a look at it, and everything seems fine. Nothing
Can I make
seems out of the
a
ordinary.
medicine check on it?
Of course.
How
Of course
cooked it
you
is?
can. What is it you're doing to make this medicine check?
I feel like I'd have an eye for recognizing like mold or bacteria or
Sure.
that type of things if
Okay.
food's spoiled.
Okay, go ahead and roll your medicine test. Do you want to use your advantage already?
No.
Okay. Okay.
It's once per session, right?
Per
I
mystery.
think it's per mystery for the advantage.
Yeah,
I'll
for
double
the
check.
advantage.
Mhm.
I think it's per mystery, but
Yeah. Okay. So Yürgan medicine. Okay. You take a look at your food. You don't see any signs of mold. You don't see any signs. No, it looks like a nice, clean piece of fish or whatever it is that you bought.
Good enough for me. I'll eat it.
Okay. Absolutely. And so you eat it. And that's it. You just eat it. Everything's fine.
Yeah,
So,
Awesome.
until later that night, the very same bee.
so the innkeeper once comes back, checks in, he's like, so starts trying to shoot the shit with y'all, like, oh, what do you I've never seen you but here. We don't really get many travelers here. What do you hear? Kind of usual prying questions.
Like, I just felt like stopping by and visiting my old friend.
Oh, you have a friend who lives here. Maybe I know the
Yeah.
name.
Victor.
Victor Martinson
Yeah.
is your
Yeah,
friend.
Victor. Yeah, Victor.
I wasn't aware he had any, but good to learn.
Yeah, he's that type. I haven't really seen him in a while,
Mm,
but we went to school together.
no one really has. Mm,
This is part of why I'm here.
okay. Sure. Odd duck, that one. Very.
Yeah, it's about the only way I still remember him.
Yeah, you get the sense that he's trying to be polite because he knows this is a customer merchant relationship. He's trying not to insult your friend, but you would definitely it doesn't require a roll. You can kind of see that he's biting his tongue a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So he hangs around.
Yeah.
There's two other people here, and otherwise it's dead. Dead as dead can be.
Be like, has he ever come by here?
Oh, no, he doesn't leave the manor's grounds. I don't think.
Does someone take care of him?
Yes, Asta. She comes by the market at least once a week. Then there's the big man who's always with him. Well, not with him, but we see him sometimes. Sten Hauser. Those are the only two. He's got a few others, but I can't say I know the names. But those are the only two.
Okay. And where's his manor at exactly? Or kind of new in town. I haven't been here before.
So yeah, he'll give you the basic layout. But Martinson Manor is to the west. You just go over to the church and just keep going west. It's impossible to miss. It's the biggest house there is. It's on a hill. There's a kind of gate around the central house. Groves, trees kind of extend off even further west.
Yeah.
Yeah, not hard to find.
Do you happen
Do you have
to?
any recommendations on lodgings or anything while we're here?
Oh, you need
Same
lodgings.
question.
I've got rooms aplenty.
Do you mind dogs in your rooms?
Not at all. Not at all. They're quiet. Are they quiet?
No, they're fine.
Ah, who am I kidding? I don't have anyone else staying here. It's fine. They could make whatever noise they want. That's fine. So, but yes, he's more than overjoyed to hear that you're staying. All of you, all 6. Do you mind bunking up a bit?
Come down there. Come down there.
We can manage that.
Okay, and
Yeah.
I'll get right on this. I can take your bags up. I could. So he's very willing to do that.
Okay.
Okay, so he'll start taking your stuff and moving up, and all of like your travel things you wouldn't kind of have on yourselves normally. You know, your change of clothes and things like that. Like all of that's been taken upstairs, and you're left downstairs, having eaten your food. Sun has fully gone down. It's nighttime. You hear the sounds of insects outside buzzing like crazy.
You don't hear the sound of yelling into the night.
No.
Nobody vomiting.
no, everyone looks all right. So, there's still a couple hours before, it's untoward. Eventually you see Frank and Helga kind of get up and they kind of wave sheepishly, this old little gray-haired couple. Bye, welcome. And they get going.
Do we want to meander around the town a little bit at night and try and find ourselves some trouble before the sun sets?
I don't know about trouble, but meandering around town, I think I would be interested.
I'd be interested in trying to like meander over towards his manor, or at least somewhere where it's in sight, trying to catch some small talk.
Okay.
Say we're tourists and be like, hey, what do you know about that house in the hill? And just kind of see what people's
Just
general thoughts are.
What few locals we can find.
Sure.
Yeah. Try to get some general information.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and we'll do the same thing. Pick 2 people, roll manipulation tests as you slow walk
I'll take
around
that.
I've
the
got a
around
7.
I'll help with that.
Good grief. I only got 1 out of all that.
Hey, successful.
Although I can swap out my inspiration for manipulation, fortunately.
Okay, go for it. Okay.
There we go. Look at that.
All right. So
Success.
you start wandering around. You start asking a bit. Specifically, you're asking about the manor and Victor and whatnot. So, you hear a lot of what you've already heard before. So a lot of like the verification of rumors. You know that Victor's been here for almost a year. You know that like they say he's. People know that he's a learned man. People know that he's good at medicine and nature and whatnot, and they're all kind of a bit angry at him, frustrated with him that the town is currently having this little bit of a bug that's sweeping through it, and he seems to be unwilling to kind of come out of his manor and maybe lend a hand and look at a few patients. You know that he's not the exact same doctor as you. He went a different path, but you would know he could definitely help here, right? He could certainly, make people feel better with just, stomach viruses and whatnot.
Right.
A couple people mention how so much of like the pressure of like healing folks and making sure people are okay has been left to poor old Hedda, they say, because she sure could use the help. Because her tinctures and such.
Herbalife salesman.
Yeah, the apothecary. They say that she's got a little apothecary shop. She's kind of an older woman, strange woman. But everyone likes her. Just keep her away from the church. Keep her away from Father Adrian, and everyone stay in their lane. Everyone be fine. You get like reinforcement that like folks just haven't really been feeling too well lately. It's just some sort of bug. No one's died from it. It's just things like you've seen before, some stomach bugs, some vomiting, some cramps, some diarrhea, that kind of thing.
Was he retreated before this virus started going around?
And they think about it like, well, I remember when he showed up, and maybe I've seen him once or twice since. He really likes his privacy. But the bug, this is only maybe a few weeks old. So no, it doesn't align.
And this bug, does it kind of stay with someone, or is it just kind of affecting everyone for a few days and then
it kind of comes and goes?
Passes?
Comes and goes. A person has it, and then they're okay for a few days, and then they have it again.
Interesting.
Yeah, so so you're wandering around town. You don't really find again a ton of people. At one point, you do notice you do hear the sounds of these high-pitched voices as you're kind of turning around a corner and coming down a street, and you can see there's these 4 kids or 5 kids. You're not really sure. You a little dark still, but they seem to be kind of playing some kind of game. There's a couple trees and bushes and parked wagons and such in the street, and it looks like 3 of them start leaning against one of these parked wagons. They kind of cover their eyes up, and the 4th one starts running away, frantically running, and they're looking for a place to hide. It's inverse hide and seek sort of, and you can hear the kids as the ones that have their eyes kind of shielded. They're not counting. They're just you hear them doing this kind of rhyme, this little nursery rhyme. So it's the hawks and goblins come at night and give the children such a fright. Unwashed, unloved, in sowing blight, they clobber, gobble, slash, and bite. And then they turn around, and that's their countdown. And then they start scattering and looking for this other little kid who you can see is kind of hiding underneath this hedgerow, this little tiny hedgerow. And then a rat scurries right up against her, and it freaks her out, and she screams. And then all 3 of the other kids just sort of descend on her and just.
And there were 3.
And they pretend like they're starting to eat her, they're ah, and she's like, no. And they're like, yes, we're eating you. And and then they go through it again, and they kind of reset. And now she's one of the ones who has to chase, and somebody else has to, someone else. The first person who touched her gets to be the.
Is this a familiar nursery rhyme?
Roll a learning test. And I'm going to want 2 successes for this. And you got it.
Oh.
All right.
Okay.
Ask you shall receive.
Perfect. Maybe this was something that you've heard from old Victor back when you were in college. Maybe he mumbled it at some point. It's nothing any of the rest of you would recognize, but it's
a regional one. But
yeah. So it's definitely something you heard before.
Okay.
You would imagine from Victor himself. Working in the lab together, he just suddenly breaks it out.
It's not creepy at all.
Right? As are most songs, though, when you think about it.
This is a happy, friendly game.
Yeah.
Nothing bad ever happens in these games.
In any game.
Everyone is okay.
Not foreshadowing.
Yeah.
What's that?
Not suggesting what's going to happen to Dogmore at the end or anything.
At least he would be happy about it, it sounds like.
So the kids, they keep kind of going through their game, but eventually they start matriculating down the street a bit until they're out of the way. You're on a run where there's a couple homes here and there. You see a large church off to your left that looks to be in they're doing some kind of work on it. Maybe there's some rafters on the outside, they're doing some sort of repair on some of the roofing tile. But you need a church.
Sigrid always makes a beeline for the church.
Okay.
Yep.
So you head over there. It's into the night.
Milling about. I'll let my dogs snap at rats. And
sure. Okay.
Get some of that energy out.
All right.
Does there seem to be an abnormal amount of rats, or?
There are quite a few. tons of rats. Anders was able to like you can't take like 10. You can't like walk 10 feet without seeing 2 or 3.
Ugh.
I would, if they're reporting an ongoing stomach issue, this rat infestation probably, if it's not the culprit, it's not helping.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, go get them, dogs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean, at the end of the day, it's not gonna make a big difference. But
Dogmore, you let Salt and Pepper and Spinderella off the leash a bit. Let them chase. You see them-
whatever dog number 4 was, I don't remember its name.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You see them
Dog number 4.
chase dog number 4. You see them chase some rats off away off the street into the bush, and it's about 30 seconds, and you suddenly hear
Oh no, mistakes were made.
and
Oh.
and eventually your dogs come like running back, tails between their legs. One of them, we'll say dog number 4, is limping, and it's like got one of their hind legs is kind of up, and only the other 3, and they're kind of moving, and all of them look pretty terrified. Like, they're kind of leaning up against you and like hiding behind you and between your legs, fighting, jockeying for position.
My goodness, I don't think. Can I look and see at the leg? Was that no ordinary rat? Was that perhaps a rodent of unusual size?
There's definitely some wounds. Yeah, definitely some wounds. You can look. I mean, Yürgan can take a look, and they're bite wounds.
Hmm.
But there's a
Does it
lot
have
of
to
them.
be like from a lot of them?
There's
Seems
a
like
lot
they're-
of them. Yeah. There's a lot of them. And you start looking over the all of your dogs, and they have them like little bite marks in the ear flaps, bite marks on the arms and legs. Some of them they're all these tiny little bite marks.
Boy, this seems
There's a lot of rats here.
That's intense.
seems unnatural. Was that just like off behind a building or something?
Yeah, you just kind of let them go, and they just chased off. Not that far away, like around a corner, maybe through a couple of bushes, and then suddenly they came darting back. Like,
Boy, is there
you take a look at the leg, and you're pretty sure they'll be okay. Like, you just maybe kind of wrap a little something around it so it doesn't constantly like lick the wound, and they'll be okay eventually.
Is anyone else having the same terrible idea of like maybe we should go look?
Yeah, I am.
Mm-mm.
I
I'm
agree with that.
Regretting that we didn't pick up poison before we left is actually
Yeah.
what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Just
It's come in
smother
handy
yourself in
before.
poison.
Yeah.
That
Maybe buying
really
some
helped you
rat
against
poison.
the Night Sow, actually. Like, there was one fight where it really helped you.
Poison the food. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the church is not far off, a couple homes and other buildings, and you know that the manor is west of the church. So what do y'all want to do?
I mean, if you want to go take a look, I'll go with you.
Yeah.
I want to go take a look.
I don't want to take a look, but I'll go
I
with
do
you.
want to
Are
go
there
as
any
well.
like open? I would want. Can we get like an open flame torch?
We got a lantern, I think.
something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
were
Can we get a
drinking
flamethrower?
Yeah.
There's
I
wrong
had that
free league
thought.
game. That's alien. There's street lamps. Like they do actually have lanterns on the street, so it's been easy. You haven't had to have your own out.
Mhm.
But if you go off in the direction that the dogs were, yes, you're kind of going off into like a greenery area. You can see some trees
Okay.
in the near distance.
Sigrid, are you still going to the church?
I mean, we can go do this before I go to the church. That's fine.
Okay. I was just gonna say if you're going, someone should
Hmm.
go with you. So you're
I'll
not
go with
alone.
her to the church.
Don't
You
want
didn't
anything-
really want to go look at all the rats, so this seems like we'll just high step our way over to
I
the
mean, he
street.
makes such a good point. Yeah, it's always good to be accompanied. So, as curious as I am about the rats, it's the gentlemanly
Which is
thing to do.
very little at this point. We'll
I'm
go look for
pretty
Father
curious.
Adrian.
Okay. So Caius and Sigrid are going to see Father Adrian, and everybody else is going to investigate where the dogs came from.
What I assume
really
is
quickly.
a pack of rats, like an amorphous blob of rats.
Shaped like a giant rat.
I kicked a little
Yeah.
music in just to make this seem creepier. Okay,
Yeah.
No, I
so
don't have the music turned up.
we'll do the creepy part first. Okay, so the 4 of you head off. One of you pops out a lamp, a lantern, I assume, or something.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll carry it.
Yeah, I think I don't think you have torches, Joe. I think you could probably jury rig a torch, but like, come on, man, it's 19th century. We use oil lamps now. No, but you could easily jury rig one in if there was a necessity for it.
Yeah, I'm thinking more if there's a bunch of rats having just an open flame to try and bat them away.
Discourage them a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like they wouldn't be too afraid of a lantern.
Okay.
That's the only reason I ask. But
so
yeah, we can worry about that later.
You head out, and Caius and Sigrid continue to follow the path around to the church, and the four of you move off, and it's about, we'll say, like maybe 30 to 40 yards away, where you kind of start to notice a couple little blotches of like red in the grass, easy enough to see, and you get the sense that you're probably in roughly the right area. You can see the light on the street a ways away, but if not for your lamp, you realize it would probably be fairly dark. There's trees. There's a little grove of trees just south of you, and it extends a distance that you can't see the end of it. And there's all sorts of these bushes in this almost like the grass itself has become higher and higher, like it's getting up to your knees at this point. Like no one's really tended or walked over this area in a while, and periodically you hear it's just something skittering about, like what do y'all want to do?
I want to try and do like, some real, see if we can like catch it maybe.
Okay.
As it's moving around.
Okay. Explain how you want to do this.
Because I assume we could kind of like shutter the lantern a little bit so it's focused forwards, and then we can kind of swing it around.
It's a hurricane lamp, so you would kind of like turn down the flame of it, and so it would darken. It's not hooded. I think it's if I remember the hurricane lamp I used to have as a child, like I think you turn the wick down a bit, but you can darken it.
Yeah, I kind of want to darken it down and then bring it back up real quick and see if we can like catch something.
Okay.
Getting a little brave on us, or
Okay. Go ahead and roll a vigilance test, Dogmore. As you do that,
Will I be able to have my dogs help me with this? Tell me a number of them, or just one.
Roll a d4.
Okay.
Because they're a little messed up right now, but they're well trained and they know what they need to do, and you can use all four of them. Yes.
Okay, that's gonna pile on this real fast.
Okay.
Hold on one second. This has got to be deep. I'll get 2 successes.
Okay. So, as you kind of turn it down, then you turn it back up, you suddenly see like these tall blades of grass like suddenly part, and there's these yellow orange eyes staring out at all of you from different directions. You start counting, and you're like, they're moving about, they're skittering, and you hear and as the light comes back up, they like lean back a bit so the eyes kind of retreat. You see them blink, and then suddenly you hear them all begin to like barks, and they all just descend on you. And they come in from different directions. So
oh no, we got velociraptored.
We need to do initiative. I didn't think this was gonna happen.
Oh
but
no,
we're doing initiative already.
Oh my gosh.
We don't really do
We're not there.
fights that early. So let's do it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my.
Mistakes were made.
So many mistakes were made.
Let's see. Bert, you're there, and Chuck, you're there, and Dan, you're there, and Joe, you're there, and then there we go.
All the rats.
Oh my gosh.
So
I got 2 cards.
Did I give you 2 on accident?
I got
Yeah.
2 cards as
I
well.
also got 2 cards.
Let me pull
2
them.
cards for everyone.
All right.
I
Let's try that
really
one more
liked
time.
that one.
Sorry about that.
Rhoda, it's Velociraptor.
Bert, Chuck, Dan, Joe.
Yeah, velociraptor. That's what I said. You see
Wait.
them in the front, then they come in from
Not-
the sides.
not Velociraptor, Velocirat, or
How's that?
Oh,
Rats.
yeah, I got you.
Joke.
Velociraptor.
Sorry.
Do y'all have cards?
I got a card.
Okay.
No, I like that, and that's even better.
Okay.
My pun game was too slow.
All right.
Too slow.
So let's see. Who is not there? So Caius is not there. Sigrid's
Sigrid.
not there.
Bet you all wish you came along now.
No, why did you give
You
me
might.
that?
Oh no.
Why did you give me the 8 again?
Hey, I got a
One of them
9.
eight.
Anders
I
got a
always wanted
9.
the plague.
Dogmar got an 8.
Got a 10.
Oh gosh, guys. Jürgen?
Got a 9.
Wait, I got a 9.
No, you didn't. Don't lie.
Or not a 9, 7.
7.
don't know
Oh
what
my
numbers
gosh.
7, 8, 9, 10.
I got
Wow.
a 6 and I still get to go first? Are you kidding? Okay.
Hmm.
Couldn't have been worse.
This is how we get the plague.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
these creatures begin coming through and you hear like a barking and all of a sudden like leaping from each direction 4 foxes just leap out of the bush and just they just dive at a few of you. So
Gosh,
Yeah.
we're getting rabies.
and you can see
getting
looking at them, they have a bit of a slather coming down from their mouths.
Oh, man.
No, this is lethal.
Let's see. And they're going to go 2 on
Google
1.
when the-
So basically 2 of them are going to isolate one person and then 2 of them are going to isolate another person. So let's do it this way. We'll say Dan, you're 1, Bert, you're 2, Chuck, you're 3, and Jürgen, you're 4.
Just
So
roll all ones.
What year is it?
You know what you need to
1840s ish is kind of what we've been going.
The first cure for rabies didn't come around until 1885.
Oh, you guys are gonna
Damn.
die. Okay, so 2 of them are gonna go right after Dogmark.
I told you to roll 2 ones. You didn't even.
I
you
rolled
only got
1, and so that means 2 of them are going to attack you. So I'm gonna roll 2 attacks against you. Ooh, this is gonna be. They're just coming in and they're just sort of biting.
Should have bought that armor after all.
They're not carrying any kind of weapons. There's no guns or anything on them.
They've got the rabies.
I'm stalling while I figure out where the hell I put my fox.
The
Oh my
ultimate
gosh.
weapon.
I realized that I had a gun from last session,
Oh no.
and I didn't look in my own inventory, and I opted to keep the map book.
All right, so the first one snaps out at you, Dogmore, but you manage to, one of your dogs kind of like hip checks it out of the way, and you hear the fox like yelp a bit as it kind of stumbles down to the ground, missing and unable to attack you. Second one's coming to attack. Remember, if you're going to defend, you have to declare it. So are you defending?
Yeah. Now, just to be clear, we could like disengage. Like, this is a question that I don't think we've asked before. If I wanted to like try and leave this combat and move back towards town, would that be a fast action?
You would do it's a flee test. So you're talking about doing a slow action. It would be an agility test to do so.
Okay, that'd be slow action.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, we'll go ahead and defend.
Okay, so you're defending on the second attack. So the second attack comes through, they miss, and that's it. And then the other one's going to go for Anders, as you see
Ugh.
one of the foxes come at you. Do you want to defend?
Yeah, I'm going to defend.
Okay, so first attack, also a miss. These things are just shooting blanks. Second, missed again. So four foxes come out of these high grass and just bite away, and each one of them completely misses. The next one, next up will be Jürgen.
All right. Are we trying to run from this? At least back to where it's light? Or
I suspect they wouldn't follow us into the light.
because I don't.
We could use a corpse and, assuming we live through it, get a corpse to examine to see what it is they are
Yeah.
infected with.
That's not a
That's
bad
true.
idea.
We could try and get one of them at least,
Mhm.
or more, and we'll see.
All right, so what do you want to do, Jürgen?
I want to try and flee, or at least retreat to where there's light. But I'm not going to abandon if one of them gets stuck.
All right, so roll an agility test to see if you could just kind of detangle yourself from this engagement and make it back closer. You wouldn't be able to get all the way back probably, but you would get fairly close to the road.
You said agility?
Agility, yeah, because you're taking the flee action.
Oh
basically.
no.
You can push.
Leave those buttons alone. My cat's just absolutely obsessed with chewing on my buttons.
So take a.
Why was it a?
Because when you push, you have to take a condition. So you would have you would have taken a condition, but I think it goes into effect. So.
Did you mean to only roll one die the second time?
Did you just hit the push button? If you just hit the push button, you're fine. All right.
I think I might have hit the roll button.
Okay, so roll.
That's what it looks
Just
like.
roll a d6.
Roll a d6.
There should be
Nope.
just if you just hit the square and hit enter at the bottom right, you can do it. Okay, so
Nope.
you try, but your legs get tangled up. There's leashes and dogs and foxes and a bunch of people, and you just kind of stumble down to the ground and kind of get back up, but can't quite get away.
I'm taking the mental condition frightened.
Agility is a physical condition, actually.
Oh, you have
So
to.
you have to
Okay.
take
Okay.
something physical, yeah.
Okay.
These wouldn't require a fear test. They're just foxes, but that's fine. Okay.
Just foxes.
So next up is Dogmore.
All right. I feel like we got a good opinion here from Gunnar about trying to get one of them. So I think I'll try and attack one.
Okay, go for it.
And I'm going to use my my insight. That's once per session, right?
The insight. Yeah. Sorry.
So it'll add to my close combat, and then
Can you
should I do the same
remind
thing?
everyone what insight that is, by the way?
Oh yeah, that's the insight of champion close combat +3 from torn body
Yeah. So
that I had 1d6 minutes before I died and rolled a 1 on.
Oh, those are good times. Okay,
1
so
minute to live.
as you lash out at one of these foxes, go ahead.
And then the question is, how many dogs can I apply again?
In this case, roll a d4 and we'll see, because they're not in great shape. So we'll see.
That rolled my combat instead for some reason, which
Roll two more d6. So we'll say 2 of them are on the ready. The other 2 are still licking their wounds, quite literally.
okay, two more d6.
Yeah, so roll 2 more d6, and we'll see if any of those hit.
Oh, those, if it works, those 4 are my dog checks. So none of my dogs are ready. So
Okay. All right. So then roll your attack. Then I thought the close combat was your attack. Okay, go ahead and roll your attack.
no, I typed on the side and hit enter, and it rolled my close combat that I had popped up rather than my d6s. So.
Okay. Well, okay. So you got 2 successes.
But
and-
whatever the case.
Yeah. So with 2
With my
successes,
insight.
you can do. First of all, like your dogs with you here seem a little bit more sturdy and willing to lash out. And one of them just chomps down on the neck of this fox and just takes it down completely. And you can see that the dog is just tearing into the neck of this fox. You have 1 extra success that you can use for other things if you want. You could potentially use to. In this case, you might be able to I'll let you exchange your initiative cards because there's really not a whole lot else you can do because this thing already died. So if you want to exchange initiatives, so you
I
can
move
go before
up
Fox.
in
Yeah.
front of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's do that. So we'll say on the next round you'll be able to go before them. Anders, your turn.
Oh my gosh. So seeing as their attacks didn't hit, I still expended my quick action defending, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
Okay.
You're kind of there, ready for
Yeah.
it.
So I am just going to kick a fox.
Sounds great. Do
Kick it real good.
Do it. Right in the
Do it.
chompers.
No. And I am not going to push.
Okay, no problem. So then next up it'll be Gunner.
All right. I'm sorry. Can you describe what's around us?
So it's high grass in pretty much all directions, and maybe about 10 yards to the south, you can see a grove of trees begins. Further to the east, that's about 30 yards away, is where the road is. And that's about it.
Okay. So it's an empty field. Okay. Well, I'm going to knife one of these things.
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see if that
You're
works.
going to try.
Oh, for
There
sure.
you
Two
go.
successes.
For sure. Yeah. And you just reach down and you just gut one of these right through the neck. It kind of, this last little death rattle, it sounds almost like a dog dying, which is kind of sad, flops to the ground. And you have an extra success as well. So you can do the same thing Dogmore did if you want, and which means that the other two foxes will be going last. If you want to exchange initiative cards with them, you can do that.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll give the fox will now have 10. Yeah. So. All right.
That means we'll get rounds before then.
Dogmore will have 6, and then Gunner will have, I believe, 8. And then I think Yürgan, you were at 7. All right. So next round of combat will begin. And we're back around to Dogmore now, as there are now 2 foxes dead on the ground.
Maybe we'll see if we can just work our way through this.
Okay, there's 2 more on the ground.
I'll roll for the dogs first this time to alleviate confusion. None.
Okay. Only reason I'm doing this is because they were just like assaulted and attacked. Normally you'd be able to use them just fine.
That's fine. Nothing.
Okay. And you just use your slow action, so you're keeping your fast action in case you need it for defense. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yürgan.
Seeing as I didn't really get anywhere, I guess I'll start stabbing with my newly acquired knife.
Okay, go for it.
All right. So does the knife give you a bonus to?
Yes.
If
Um,
you've added the knife to your character sheet, you can just roll it from the combat page,
Yep.
Okay.
and it'll
roll
just count
everything.
all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll have your bonus and it'll have the damage on as well.
Okay. There we go.
Okay.
Hey, there you go.
You are able to
Sweet.
swing down and easily cut through the back of the neck of one of these foxes while it's snapping away at Dogmore. And
Sweet.
so 3 of them are now down. And then after that, it'll be Gunner. 1 more left.
You're on,
I
you're on
think you're
mute.
muted, Bert.
Gonna knife him.
Okay, go for it.
Get him.
One
yeah.
success.
And no problem. That's all you needed as you cut through these. So all 4 of these foxes now lay dead at your feet. And
Boy, now we got some pelts.
yeah, you show you all 4 of these foxes. And do you want to take all of them? Do you want to? I know you said you're interested in taking one to examine.
Let's take 2 just in case. Just in case we need.
Yeah.
Do anything in particular with the other 2? We're just leaving them here.
We need to get rid of them in case they're diseased. Hey, we've got a lantern, right?
Yes.
Just burn them.
Okay.
In the middle of the grassy field.
Yeah, you'll.
Well, it's not like dead grass, right? It's live green grass. Like
Actually-
some year.
Actually, when you take a look at it, it does in fact not appear to be in the healthiest of condition.
Oh, well, in that case.
Yeah. Let's
Burn them.
maybe see if the innkeeper has a shovel we can borrow. And
The road's not too far away. So there's always the road, which is basically cobblestone, or you can just search around for like a empty area. That's fine too. Still,
I'm not saying that I've got experience burning things, but lamp and oil won't be enough to completely destroy 2 fox corpses.
This is true.
Is this like Chuck talking, or is this Anders talking?
I'm not going to answer that.
Okay, fair enough.
Meanwhile, Sigurd and Caius were like walking over to the church, like, wasn't that a cool song those kids were singing? And it was like singing the song.
We have a lot of call to have like body bags on us. We got to remember that next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I think you're muted.
Yeah. No, I think legitimately, like that's Caius is intending to like follow up and write some of his own stuff based
Okay.
off that limerick.
Sure. I think I have it in Foundry.
Yeah.
I'll show it to
I don't
you.
know. For now, we'll take them all with us until we can figure out some appropriate way to dispose of them.
I would. Yeah.
Yeah, Jeremy, if you want to take a look at the lyrics, they're Frogs on Parade handouts. There's a Goblin Nursery rhyme there now.
That's awesome.
Okay. So, so while the rest of you are burning these fox corpses, Caius and Sigurd, you make it over. You make it over to the final boss in the church.
What?
Just the two. No, just
What?
kidding. You make it to the church. You can see it. It's definitely it's going through some repairs. Like the other places you've seen, you can see cracks in the stone foundation. When you look at some of the rafters that have been set up, like there's these different rafters that have been set up for people to paint or repair certain things. The wood that's being used for planks is a little warped here and there. There's some metal poles that are being used to help keep things sturdy, and those even are kind of rusted. She up to the door. It's a nice, big, beautiful door. Bang on a little bit, open the door, and you can see that there are rows and rows of empty pews. And there is, at the very end of it, there's a man that you can see that comes out from what looks to be like a private apartment annex. Has a robe on, has a kind of a candle or lantern out, coming out. And a little surprised. Hello? Hello?
Yes, Father Adrian.
Yes. Yes. Can I help you?
Yes, we are new to town, coming to visit some folks, and I heard that you were someone that I should look up. I met with Father so-and-so back in Christiana.
Oh, Father so-and-so. Yes. Quite a drinker that one is. How is Father so? No, he you referenced the name, and he's like, "Oh yes. Come in. It's always wonderful for visitors and someone of the cloth itself. It seems. What is it I can do for you this evening? Is there something wrong?"
Well, there's actually a group of us that were kind of called here at the behest of
The Martinson family.
Yes,
Victor
the
Martinson.
Martinson family, yeah. Yes. Friends of the Martinsons. Okay, yes. And
Is there anything that you can kind of tell us about what's been going on with him, the family? We've heard some different rumors.
Well, he's not much of a churchgoer, unfortunately. We have some here who are, and some who aren't, just like any other place, but unfortunately he isn't. Asta does periodically come and attend, so I do get updates from time to time. I don't... he's... From what I understand, she's very concerned with his current mental state. He seems to be a bit paranoid, I think is the word she used. Very reclusive. He's frequently... What is that? Oh, sorry. Frequently, he's been kind of keeping to himself, I think.
Hey, Bert, your vacuum's coming through.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
No worries. Yeah, he's been very reclusive, paranoid.
This
Shame.
may sound untoward, and I'm extremely sorry. I mean well.
You seem like a very good person, yes.
Thank you. I try. I don't know a delicate way to say this, but I heard that perhaps this may not be the first time this has happened in the family.
Oh, yes, you're referring to his mother. Yes. Well, it's just that's a bit about when I first started here. In fact, he was, what was he? Was he 9 years old, perhaps, maybe 10? I can't quite recall. Young enough to remember, unfortunately, but she was very ill for a long period of time, not physically, mentally. My predecessor thought she might be affected by devilry. It's ridiculous. I'm a modern man. I know that much of that is all symbology and whatnot, but I believe there was even talk of an exorcism at some point.
Oh my.
Yes, it was. Yeah. But I came on shortly thereafter, and she was. I've heard stories that she's a lovely woman, that she was a good mother, but she was sad and confused and would see things, and unfortunately, she took a fall. There were some who thought that perhaps her fall was not accidental. I prefer not to think ill of her or of her husband. Christopher was a very good man. But yes, she. I'm not sure. I suppose it's similar. Yes, they're both locked away. I tend to think though that she was being kept away on her, not against her own volition. It was the family who thought it best. I think it was Christopher. He was trying to do right by her, but hindsight being what it is.
It's always difficult. Again, obviously, I agree. It's often best to approach things with a sound mind, but nonetheless, because there is concern of some possible similarity, is your predecessor still here? Is it possible?
No, I'm sorry. He retired to first to Christiana, and I don't know where he is now. I don't believe he is an older man. I hope he's still living, but
I see.
Yes, he would be at this point. He would be in his 80s by now, I would think.
Well, I hope he is enjoying his well-deserved retirement then.
Yes. Are you here in a medical capacity?
We do actually have a doctor in our group, yes, who knew Victor back in school.
Oh, wonderful. Asta did mention to me that she was thinking of reaching out to some of his old contacts. I'm happy that she's been successful. Have you been to see him?
Not yet. We just arrived here, found that everyone seems to not be able to keep their food in them.
Right. Yes. Well, again, I don't mean to speak ill of anyone, but by my observation, it's not the entire town. But yes, it's true. We've had our problems of late.
So are there parts of town that we should perhaps avoid if we would like to keep our food where it is?
I don't want to speak ill of anyone. I am just a kindly priest. Roll a manipulation test, Sigurd. See if you can earn his trust here.
I'm using my +2.
Okay.
Is it possible for me to help out at all? Like trying to...
Absolutely. Yeah. Take another +1 from Caius. For sure. Okay.
1 success.
That'll do.
We're good people.
Yeah, there are good people here as well, but there are also others who are stuck a bit in their old ways, pagans and like, and there are certain people here who cling to traditions that honestly they shouldn't, and I am not a punitive man. I don't believe our Lord is one who doles out punishment.
Do not believe so.
Without cause. I think perhaps he might have found cause.
So you're saying the folks that are not churchgoers tend to be the ones that are getting ill?
I don't have this any sort of statistics or anything, but I've certainly seen many go to Old Hedda and get their tinctures and tonics, and lo and behold, they are sick. So perhaps don't imbibe what that old pagan woman wants you to imbibe, and maybe you'll feel better.
Interesting.
Point duly noted.
Yes, perhaps some good old-fashioned fasting and prayer.
Well, I've already done the former. I think it's time for the latter.
He laughs but doesn't know why. Okay, yes. Is there anything else I can assist you with?
It's hard to say. We're just trying to get our bearings a bit because we don't really know that much about what might be bothering the poor man.
Yes. Well, he's a very intelligent man. I do know that. He spent some time at university. I know that he traveled broadly. From what I understand, he was what is the word? The newfangled word they're using these days. Scientist, natural philosopher. He wandered into the woods and could tell you one type of tree from another, one type of species from another. Very astute he was at categorizing and classifying flora and fauna. Yes. His father was more of a blue-collar man, built the foresting company up with his own two hands and ingenuity. His son was more of a book-learned man. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Agreed.
I did actually have another question. How long has this area been beset upon with frogs and rats of unusual numbers?
Oh, this again. I must reiterate, these creatures are clearly indicative of some form of punishment. The spies and the rats themselves are here to weasel through our food, dirty our water. Frogs keep people up incessantly at night with their croaking. If this isn't a sign that we are doing something wrong, I don't know what is. But in terms of how long, it's been, a few weeks at least, perhaps a month or two.
And one final question, and again, I don't mean to be insulting with this question, but is this area an old area, this town? Has it been here for quite a long time?
Parts of it, yes. Yes. The church that you're standing in has been here for 700 years, I believe.
That likely explains the
Good minute.
current condition. It is definitely in the
Under my
maintained.
predecessor's stewardship, unfortunately suffered a fire, and we have been repairing it ever since. Little upgrades here and there, as our
The door's
coffers
amazing.
allow. Yes, we were able to salvage that.
How long ago was that fire?
Oh, long before I was here. 40 years, perhaps.
Unless you had anything else, Caius, I think we've taken up enough of your time this
I
evening.
can't think of anything. Thank you so much for your time.
Please
and
come
your
by
hospitality.
anytime. Yes. There are good people here. You should, in addition to seeing Victor, you should see the mayor at some point. Richard is a good Christian man.
Okay.
So he is very friendly. In fact, you might be able to lend some aid should you need some political pull or some such.
Well, thank you for your guidance.
So he bids you both good night. You wander out, and you come across this burning smell.
That was so pleasant.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
It is no longer.
And then you smelled foxes burning, and you've tracked down the plumes of smoke and the small fire, and you see your allies, your friends, your compatriots standing around a fire and looking at these burning foxes, warming their hands, killing two birds with one stone. Okay.
What did we miss when we were gone for like 15 minutes?
We fought
Wow.
foxes.
Yeah, it wasn't rats that got Dogmore's dogs. It was foxes,
Well,
rabid foxes.
I don't know if it was not rats or if it was
Possibly
Because-
rabid. The
Yeah.
doc should take a look at these.
Absolutely.
We
So
I mean, would we have known if those bite marks looked consistent with rat or fox? Because it'd be a bigger map.
I mean, if Jürgen gets some nice light and gets a place to work, like somewhere, then he can roll a medicine check and learn what he can learn.
Okay.
I'm sure our
out in the woods in the
innkeeper
dirt.
won't protest.
Sure.
Yeah, probably gonna wait a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I just wanna
it's
put a
not
pin on it.
the most awkward thing in the world necessarily to be wandering around with like gutted
Yeah.
small game. Not the most awkward thing in the world in 1841 or something, whatever this is, 1842. Is there anything else you want to do tonight? We got a few minutes left before we hit the hard cut. So, anything
I
else?
think I would do. I would probably take advantage of using my automatic writing.
Okay.
And use the starting point as the goblin limerick, and kind of go from
Yeah.
there into the trance, and just see where that takes me.
All right. Okay.
Some food for you on rabid critters to fuel that, and
Yeah.
That just seems like the thing to do.
Okay.
Definitely the limerick didn't click until I saw it in writing. So yeah, I'm very interested to see.
Okay.
Yeah. I suspect our wild creatures in it have something to do with each other.
Maybe.
Okay. Go ahead and do your roll.
Okay. I'll give it a
Inspiration. Are you gonna pull on your advantage for this?
try. I will. Yeah. Just because
Plus
why
two.
not?
+2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take 2.
All right. You you set aside a little space while everyone is warming their hands. You
So gross.
cross-legged in the ground, the smell of cooking foxes wafting up your nostrils. Pull out your parchment and your quill, and you get to scribbling. A couple minutes go by. You all look down. You can see Caius just sort of mechanically moving along. You've gotten used to this to some degree. His eyes kind of glaze over a bit,
Eyes just
go a
kinda
little
roll
white.
back.
Yeah, they just kind of go back in his head, and when you come back and you read through what you wrote, you can read through it. You have the goblin lyrics in your head. Two successes, so I'll give you, there's two things that kind of stand out to you. One, it describes an army. So you're talking about like huge numbers, armies, waves and droves. The goblin thing is mentioned, but it doesn't seem right to you. When you read it over, the word doesn't seem quite right.
Mhm.
And then something about the groves. It's like talking about groves, and it's mentioning fruits like pears and apples and such.
Okay. Okay.
Well, in my initial research, there was a group in this area that was referred to as the Grove Tenders.
That's correct.
So, and there wasn't something right with the word goblin.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's there, but it doesn't feel right. Maybe there's something close or similar, or
I think
Don't
Grove
know.
Tenders were the cults, and the priest was just saying that these are sort of the pagan people that are causing.
All the trouble.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Some of our puzzle pieces are drifting close to each other.
Yeah. When you look at your pages, guys, you can see like you wrote the word goblin out, crossed it out. Looks like you started like 2 or 3 other words and then finally resigned yourself back to goblin and continued. It's like you knew in your head like this isn't right. This isn't really.
Maybe if there had been a third success.
Maybe.
Would we know of any goblin adjacent terms?
Okay. You could do the learning roll now if you want.
Okay.
Or you could wait and collect more points, but you could do it now. It's up to you.
No, let's
wait.
I'm gonna keep that in the back of my mind,
Okay.
and we can reference that later.
So yeah, we basically do like the one learning roll that establishes the baseline knowledge once you kind of figure out what Vaesen you might be dealing with.
Yeah, I'll hold off on that.
So there are 2 things we need to sort out. One, place to stay. We haven't done that yet.
Yeah, you
we
have
got
that.
that.
Yeah, we got it from
The
the
tavern keeper.
Tavern.
Yeah,
All right.
more than happy to.
And I'd like the doc to look at these foxes here. 2 of them.
Okay.
See
Okay.
if you can find anything unusual about them.
So we'll say you. Okay, so we'll say that you head back to your place. Bring up your
Hide the
corpses.
foxes as we bring them in.
Everything's fine. I think this guy would probably be okay with it. He's just so happy
so.
that he has customers.
Mm-hmm.
But you make it up to your room. Who is sharing a room with Yürgan? We'll say there's 3 rooms, and so 2, 2, and 2, or something like that. So who's sharing a room with Yürgan? Like when this little adventure is happening. This little excuse me, not adventure, autopsy is happening.
Oh my gosh, I was fine with it until I realized that I would have to deal with.
I always
Oh my
assume
gosh.
that Sigurd and Dogmore usually bunk together since they
We've got
knew
the
each other.
connection.
Oh, Caius, I think you're sharing a room with a good doctor.
And then nobody else wants
Okay.
to.
So
You're very inspiring for your work.
so Yürgan.
Okay, yes. I'll approach it from that mindset.
Okay. So Yürgan, you
Mhm. I even have this lovely crowbar to aid me.
you use a crowbar to
What?
break open the
No.
break open the rib cage. So you lay the fox carcass down on this table, and you clear some space, get some light. Caius is gibbering like a Caius in the corner, and you begin your cutting through. So roll a go ahead and roll a medicine test.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. How would your wife feel about you bunking with Sigrid, though, Caius? I don't know.
Wow.
No,
I
not
don't think she would
happening.
like it. She seems territorial. Good old Ina.
That's fair.
Get it?
There's one.
Smidge.
That's a funny
Yeah.
joke. 'Cause
Mhm.
She has a
Mhm.
forest.
It's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How'd you do, Joe?
1 success.
Okay. So you start digging in, cutting through things here and there. You start like breaking apart this and that. You look around and
That crowbar in there. And
kind of seeing, all right, let's see what's going on. You start pulling out organs, kind of hold them in your hand, looking at them for any signs of infection. And just stuff's like flopping all over the place. No problem. Caius, make a fear test for like stress. Just for stress.
Okay.
This is kind of gross what's happening right here. Jürgen, you're totally fine. You do surgery, you're good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but Caius, go ahead and make just to see if you hang in there.
It was like,
God,
can
that's
you
a
hold this
beautiful
for me?
face. You just hand like the kidney over. Like here.
Scalpel.
Okay.
Yeah, he's your-
Find some room for this.
All right. Go ahead and take a mental condition from this. Just watching this happen.
Oh.
The smell and
Oh,
the stench
come
is
on.
awful.
No.
And Jürgen, when you get done, you see absolutely no signs of any sort of pathogen. No rabies. You look at the teeth and the mouth, and like, yeah, there was some saliva and stuff, but you do your best to sort of whatever you can to kind of determine, like, you don't think there's sort of anything wrong. And then you hear like the dry heaving of Caius behind you, and as you turn to look at him, another sound suddenly, like this little clinkety clink, and you look over and you see that where the other fox that you haven't yet cut into is kind of laying down, you see this tiny little creature with arms and legs and a head with big old eyes suddenly sit up, and it's no more than the size of a large rat, a rodent, and dressed in clothes, looks at the two of you, snarls,
Oh no!
and then hops off the table, runs through a tiny little mouse hole in the wall.
You get back in there.
It disappears for the evening, and that's where we'll end this up.
Mickey Mouse or
Oh, that's
something.
so great. You should have tried to talk to him.
All right, awesome.
Or like a little suit.
That's
Okay.
great. That's fantastic.
So let's hit your experience questions.
Oh, we all get a bonus XP for
That's
the
true. We got to
one
remember to
thing.
do that now. Yeah. Okay. So let's hit these questions. Participation. Yes. 1. Did you confront any Vaesen? Yürgan and Caius, you get a point for this.
There you go.
Heck yeah.
You have not yet identified. So we'll hang on to number 3.
That
Were
was
you
with a condition for you, right?
were you affected by your dark secret? Anders, most certainly.
Jürgen.
Yürgan.
Is that no?
Sort of.
I feel like
was
you
willing
will be
to-
at least once or twice in this mystery. So
Yeah.
yeah, you can take if you want to take it now. You can take it now. Yeah,
Okay.
just remember. I feel like it might come up again. It's because this is sort of built around some of your backstory. Take risks to protect other people. Nothing too.
Walked way into a church.
Have you learned anything? Yes, absolutely. You learned some stuff. Haven't developed anything. No extraordinary actions. And then everyone takes +1.
That's a
4
light
XP
night
for
of
me.
experience this time around.
Okay, so take +1 because you built the annals. Was it?
Oh, yeah.
Yay!
Oh, okay.
All right. Let's see. We'll be back in 2 weeks. So this is going to be an every other week game. Let's hit some closing plugs. So tell everybody what you got going on, like this week or next week or whatever the hell it is that you want to say to them. And we can we'll tip on that. Let me cut the music out. So who's got stuff to plug? Bert, where can they find your podcast?
Sure, that is at bluemagic.com, BLUMAGIK, for Of Steam, Steel, and Murder. But also, check out the Notorious DMG. We have various games running there, but I'm also running a Shadowrun and, as of yesterday, a first edition Dungeons & Dragons game.
Yeah.
Nice.
Chuck and I were in that, and
That
when
was great.
and Chuck and I had shared a tent together. It was wonderful. And we got attacked by frogs. And so when we were sitting here getting attacked by frogs, I'm like
Right.
sitting on this idea. I'm like, okay, the name of the mystery is Frogs on Parade, and there's gonna be a bunch of frogs when they first arrive. And
Oh my gosh.
here I am getting eaten by a frog. It was perfect. Yeah. So definitely
What, was it fucking intense?
that was well, Bert's was way more intense.
Camping.
We were getting eaten. But check out that. Yeah, go check the VODs for that because like that was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. And like Chuck and I and Christopher and Friendon, Bert's been running us through Shadowrun and a couple different
Yeah.
systems. He's just amazing. It's an amazing game.
It is.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Chuck, Defenders.
Oh man, Defenders of Cobalt. Swing through to visit us on Wednesday. Twitch.tv/Defenders of Cobalt. We're going to be playing some Mutant Crawl classics. We're going to be finishing up a Fallen Star for All. Friday, twitch.tv/ZwyhanderRPG. We're going to be wrapping up our playthrough of A Bitter Harvest. Saturday, twitch.tv/Goodman Games Official. We're going to be playing some more of our Phylactery Hex Crawl from the Phylactery Zine from Planet X Games. We just finished up White Plume Mountain, so we'll be back out in the world at large. What do we got? Every other Wednesday, Jeremy's running Spectaculars. The opposing Saturdays from Goodman Games, we're doing Forbidden Lands here on Free League. And we have a zine, Dan Dies at the End, on sale for 50 cents on DriveThruRPG.
You got it.
Go buy it. A lot of us here have contributed stuff to it, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Truth.
Jeremy, Plutecast, where can they find it?
PLEWD, Plutecast, all the fun places you find podcasts.
Okay. And next Wednesday, not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday
Mhm.
on Defenders of Cobalt. Jeremy will run that wonderful Spectaculars game.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Me too. Got to finish my character. And then as for us, Adventures in Lollygagging, our main channel, twitch.tv/the Lollygaggers. So every other week here, we're playing Vaesen, but then on the other Mondays, starting next week, we're beginning an Alien game. Jeremy and Melissa and Chuck are part of that. And you can come check us out as we're playing like Alien campaign. We all mostly play the cinematics at this point, so we're trying out the campaign, see how that goes. Then Thursdays, you can always catch us on twitch.tv/ZweihanderRPG. So if you haven't followed the Lollygaggers, you haven't followed Defenders of Cobalt, you haven't followed Zweihander RPG and Notorious DMG TV, you should go do that now, and you can catch all our stuff so that we don't have to keep repeating it and get confused because we list like 1,000 things because we're way too busy.
100,000 things.
Too many things. We got past too many, like the first one.
It's true. It's true. So anyway, have a great night. Thanks for those of you who hung out and watched tonight, and anyone who's checking us out in VOD, thanks for checking us out. And come back in 2 weeks and watch us live. So good night, everybody.
Goodbye.